Yes, welcome guys, and as you know, the PMP session for what did we title? We call it as May, but it is landed as usual in the projects. A little bit of overlap and all that thing is okay. So 14th of June is where we are today, the last day. As we have seen the definition of the project on the very first day, saying that project is a temporary endeavor. It has a definite start, definite end, and if it doesn't stop at that, the schedule as well as the cost will increase, and that's what true about this program, which is called as a training for PMP as well. Remember, this is just a milestone in your PMP journey. You need to take more steps, apply for the thing, give the exam, clear it, and the final celebration by sending me the sweets that you have cracked the PMP sometime in the month of July or August is what will be the real end of it. But an important milestone called as a training will get over today. 11th session, 14th of June. Today we will be seeing procurement and stakeholder. But while we are there, now we are coming to the end of the whole thing. So at this point on time, our focus need to increase more towards solving the questions. So that's the whole thing, and that's where I have requested Kuldeep to share his screen, and we'll try to solve people related questions. So let me go ahead and stop sharing my screen. I think it will automatically bring Kuldeep's screen. No, it didn't. Kuldeep, फिर से. So we are, going to watch Shishir, Sachin.
Yeah, Sanjay.
Hi, Sachin. Shishir, how are you? He didn't speak, but anyway, maybe he is getting ready. So in the meantime, let's get going with this one. Okay, flags and banner examples. Vagara. Okay, very complex PMP level question on people topic. Correct without answer key.
I have few questions, Sanjay. Can I ping in chat? Maybe.
The PMP questions. That's what you are saying, Sachin.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Actually,
chat पे
I
तो
have
डाल देख ही लेते हैं एक बार. But
it's
so
coming as an image.
oh, it's an image.
Yeah,
Actually,
everyone, good
I'm not
morning.
able to copy that from that
तो
PDF.
फिर तेरा शेयर स्क्रीन करेंगे ना सचिन. इसके एक 4-5 क्वेश्चन देके then we'll share your screen. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll do it that way. So just wait and we'll do that because last day है तो थोड़ा questions should be more as compared to anything. Good, nice thing to see. Kuldeep. A large scale international IT project is execution phase. The project manager, who is also a strong proponent of agile principle, observed that the key technical team member consistently isolate themselves, prefer to work independently, and rarely participating in daily stand-up or team retrospective meeting. While their individual work is technically sound and the lack of collaboration is impacting sprint commitment and overall team morale. Okay, good. So what's the best immediate action? Remember, both the points are important, best and immediate. So other actions could be still good, but they may not be best. Similarly, immediate, which means this is something which you need to do it immediately. So address the issue during the next retrospective, highlight the impact of the non-participation, a good choice. But the only thing that next retrospective tak wait karega. So I am only worried about that next retrospective, otherwise I
C.
would have gone with A.
C लग रहा है
B,
ना.
C.
implement a mandatory pair programming policy. Remember, servant leader. सर्वेंट लीडर के अगेंस्ट क्या है इसमें से बी में का mandatory policy.
Mandatory.
That's not the way servant leadership works. So B is gone because of that. Because in the agile, you need to follow the servant leader thing where that mandatory, compulsory, those type of things don't fit anywhere. C, schedule private one-on-one meeting with the team member to understand their perspective and potential barrier to collaboration. Looks like good, but we'll go ahead and again put A and C onto two sides of the balance and try to see which one is better and for what. But before that, let's check D. Discuss the team members' behavior with their functional manager. कुलदीप ये तो निकाल ही दिया ना तूने.
हाँ सर, ये तो निकाल ही दिया
ये
ना,
तो
ये तो
निकाल
ठीक
दिया. बी और डी को तो हमने निकालना ही है अपने को. We are not
है। ए भी
going to
नहीं है
then
सर,
follow.
वो
ए
इमीडिएटली
और
होगा
सी
वो।
में नाउ व्हाट्स द प्रॉब्लम. ए में यार मेरे को सिर्फ ना वो नेक्स्ट रिट्रोस्पेक्टिव से थोड़ा कंसर्न है. आर यू गेटिंग दिस पॉइंट शिशिर, राहुल?
Yes, sir. Yes,
क्या
Sanjay.
प्रॉब्लम है नेक्स्ट
इमीडिएट
रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव में?
एक्शन नहीं है वो,
हाँ,
इमीडिएट एक्शन नहीं है
immediate
ना.
नहीं है. Exactly, it is not immediate. It could be best action as well, but it's not certainly immediate. And best and immediate makes it beautiful question था लेकिन कुलदीप, हाँ, I mean बेस्ट इमीडिएट पकड़ के उन्होंने दे हैव फोर्स्ड यू टू थिंक ऑफ सी ओवर ए, एंड दैट्स वेयर आई थिंक सी इज अ वेरी क्लियर विनिंग आंसर हियर. अनलेस दे हैव समथिंग डिफरेंट टू थिंक, वो तो पूछ लेंगे हम लोग उसको. सो डिड एवरीवन एंजॉय दिस क्वेश्चन?
Yes.
Yes,
Can
sir.
Was
you
there
guys hear me
anyone
now,
who
right? Hey.
Yes, Shishir, you are
Yeah.
audible.
Yes, sir. Sure.
And we are going with C, right?
हाँ, we are going with सी चार्ली. मैं थोड़ा नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन में लेट मी आल्सो टेक अ बैक सीट इन द सेंस मैं आपको बोलने दूंगा, मैं बोलूंगा नहीं इस पे. आई विल नॉट पुट एनी ऑफ माय व्यूज देयर. ओके, सो ऑल दैट कैलकुलेशंस व्हाट आई एम डूइंग, ये बेस्ट है, ये पार्क करेंगे, ये सब आपने मेंटली करना है अभी, बिकॉज एनीवे फाइनली दैट्स व्हाट यू नीड टू डू. यस, सो यस, लुक्स लाइक दिस इज विजिबल नाउ. ओके, आप ही पढ़ो योरसेल्फ एंड मेक योर चॉइसेस. यस गाइस.
डी लग रहा है, डी लग रहा है,
CD.
So everyone is
डी लग
discarding
रहा
A
है.
and B for sure, correct?
यस.
Yeah.
कि उसमें कुछ मजा नहीं है और A और B में. So that's good. C and D. So now amongst them you need to put into the
I'm
two
सी,
sides.
सी में अगर किया तो वो जो बंदे कर रहे हैं उनका ये नहीं पता चलेगा अपने को वो क्यों कर रहे हैं
No,
वैसा. और
with
डी
all
Who
में
was
डायरेक्टली
that?
मीटिंग.
Sachin, you were saying that.
हाँ हाँ मैं.
So you're saying
डी
if
में
C done, you will not understand their
क्या,
individual things, correct?
हाफ हाफ ऑफ द सॉल्यूशन वी कैन गेट, बट लेकिन उनका जो प्रॉब्लम है वो कंटिन्यू ही रहेगा, वो ऐसे ही करते रहेंगे वो लोग.
So then you are saying D. And why do you say D will solve that problem?
So by one-to-one meeting, we can understand what is their exact problem, why they are doing like that. To understand that, and maybe we can go to the root cause of that their problem.
So Sachin has put his views. But by the way, Kuldeep, सचिन तेंदुलकर के भी 99 पे आउट हो जाता था, तो ये सचिन पक्का बराबर रहेगा इसका कोई गारंटी नहीं है. तू तेरा बोल. Everyone, please think. Sachin is going with D and he has given justification also for that. Even if you say C or D, you need to give justification. I mean, I'm not going to just go by C or D.
C.
And what's your take, Raj? Why C?
Line 1, knowing their strong opinion and past project derailments.
Even I'm with C
Because
because
C.
yeah, yeah, it is all key stakeholders. We are actually making them in line with the actual requirements, and if there are any discrepancies, so we are reworking on that, right? So I go with C. One-on-one direct meetings may impact, but it will not resolve solve the problem.
And who
Maybe
is this? This is
this is
Pawan.
Pawan. Yes.
Yes, Swati.
Yeah, but in my opinion, it is C because what I'm thinking here is the stakeholder is communicating with other team members, different team members. So it is very important to keep everyone on the same page so that other team member is also aware of what is the requirement. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि कोई important stakeholder आया and they kind of influence them. सो वो टीम जब एक साथ अलाइन होगी तो नो वन विल बी एबल टू इन्फ्लुएंस, रादर दे विल बी वर्किंग एज अ टीम. सो यहाँ पर सब एक पेज पे होंगे.
So
डी
C
में
is
क्या
bringing
होगा?
everyone on same page. That's why is
डी में मेरे
is
को ऐसा लग रहा है कि वो अभी भी जो भी उसका मोटिव होगा, व्हाई दिस स्टेक होल्डर विल कम फॉरवर्ड एंड से दैट दिस इज माय मोटिव, राइट? बिकॉज दिस पर्सन इज ऑलरेडी अवेयर कि उसका पोजीशन क्या है एंड हाउ दे आर डूइंग फ्रॉम देयर पास्ट. सो आई स्टिल थिंक दैट सी इज द.
Hey, Sachin, तेरा argument. Now I will reveal. I am with Sachin on this, but let us hear why Sachin is saying.
Sorry, Sanjay.
You are saying D, everyone else is saying C, and they have given their argument
And I'm
about
on
C.
D as well.
You are also with D. So
Yes.
Sachin,
मुझे भी सी ही लग रहा है. I mean, in same
My
way Swati was saying.
explanation is still the same, Sanjay, because with the C, we will not get the root cause of why they are doing like that.
another problem. वो first capital letter में देखना सचिन. Why should you
First,
do first action? First is D,
first
then go
action
to
on the
C.
project.
वो first में गड़बड़ है. C is eventually required. There is no doubt about it. But पहला you talk to them and understand कि boss इनका problem क्या है. I mean, is it that you think that it is they are just by attitude they are like that, or they have some problem? And this is applicable for everyone, friends. This is applicable for everyone who is proven, someone who has already created, they will give you a question कि कुछ तो भी उसने चोरी कर दिया या कुछ bribe ले लिया, ऐसा कुछ भी रहेगा. I mean, they will give you a complicated scenario. The first thing is that
And
whosoever is the person who is the sort of क्या बोलते हैं उसके आरोपी, he you need to give him the chance to talk his views. And D में वो हो रहा है, whether it is there. So I am of the opinion that D. I think Kuldeep and Sachin also, and remaining were
and
thinking C. We'll check the rationale.
and
So
another expression could be, Sanjay, like facility and workshop is a kind of a tool, and D is like a people talk one to one. And I think in PMP we give preference to people over the tools.
अच्छा, okay, हाँ, in that sense you are saying that three things called as the purpose, people and processes, ऐसा है ना वो three things,
Something
purpose,
like
people and process. So you are actually looking it at that way as well. I never thought it. ये दो का आंसर देख लेते हैं और आगे बढ़ेंगे कुलदीप, because
Yeah,
otherwise.
and there is one more point कि this stakeholder is actually privately communicating.
हाँ हाँ हाँ.
तो एकदम से उसको पिन पॉइंट करना और उससे पूछना कि तुम ऐसा क्यों कर रहे हो, आई एम नॉट श्योर कि द पर्सन विल एवर एग्री टू
Do that, but in the D, what you would have done, Swati, is that I mean, one on one होता था जो होना है. C में you are doing it, वो क्या बोलते हैं उसको, washing the clothes in open वाला केस हो जाएगा वो ना. तो in these workshops they also might still make a coterie and keep themselves away, which is possible in C and D. But ये anyway अपना views है, we could go exactly wrong here. ये first मेरे ख्याल से very important था, which is making D as the thing, and after that maybe the C there. So ये दो का आंसर first and second वाला देख कुलदीप. पहला वाला हमने, अच्छा तूने डाल ही दिया था 1 C and D.
Summary.
समरी वो मस्त तो देता है समरी पूरा. C1, your answer for both the are consistent with PMP best practices. Okay. और नीचे में वो इवैल्यूएशन वगैरह कुछ देता था, वो टिक वगैरह कुछ आया
सर
था.
वो ये जेमिनाई है सर, वो चैट जीपीटी नहीं है.
अच्छा, ये जेमिनाई है. ओके
ये
ओके, चैट
गूगल वाले
जीपीटी
थे.
में वैसे थे, तो जेमिनाई में है. ओके,
शो
जेमिनाई का
थिंकिंग
ये इसका भी वर्जन है क्या?
ये है सर, शो थिंकिंग में ये आ रहा है.
ओह ओके, हाँ, ब्यूटीफुल. सो सी एंड डी. ओके, हमारा सी का मेरे ख्याल से ऑलमोस्ट एवरीवन वाज together. D, a direct one-on-one meeting is crucially, especially when there are causing issues. This allows project manager to understand their motivation, address their concern, and expectation, and all that thing, often leading to resolution without immediate action. हाँ, I mean, so Sachin, लेकिन इसमें ये भी लिखना चाहिए कि उसके बाद the next step will be C. C will be required. There is no doubt about it. But after D, and that work, that word called as first action is actually making D little better than the C. So good, that's good. Sachin, ये time 99 पे out नहीं हुआ था Sachin. So good Sachin. Okay, तो yes Sachin, तेरे पास कुछ था. You were going to share the three.
हाँ, इसके देखना है या फिर आप वो प्रोक्योरमेंट उसके देखना
नहीं
है?
नहीं, ये
ये
तेरा
देखना है।
कौन सा था वो क्वेश्चन? यू आर सेइंग यू हैड सम क्वेश्चन।
एक
मैंने
ही
चैट
क्वेश्चन
पे पिंग किया है, एक ही किया है।
एक ही
दिख रहा
ओपन
है कि
किया है ना
आपको,
तुम?
या शेयर करो मैं स्क्रीन?
शेयर करना, लेट्स सी दैट, शेयर
एक
योर स्क्रीन,
मिनट, हाँ।
we'll see that ना, I mean.
हाँ, शेयर स्क्रीन का ऑप्शन, हाँ दिख रहा है।
Procurement law, anyway we are going to do it,
green.
that's the agenda for the day. बट एक टाइम के बाद में ना आपको ये रादर देन लर्निंग, यू नो व्हाट यू विल स्टार्ट लर्निंग इज मोर फ्रॉम द, ओ ओके,
दिख रहा है क्या
हाँ
स्क्रीन?
दिख रहा है. सो दिस इज द फर्स्ट थिंग इन, यू आर इन द प्लान रिसोर्स मैनेजमेंट प्रोसेस टू आइडेंटिफाई एंड डॉक्यूमेंट प्रोजेक्ट रूल्स रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी वगैरह वगैरह, रिपोर्टिंग स्ट्रक्चर. The structure that you are using is arranged according to organization, existing department, unit, or teams. Which of the following are you using?
RBS.
That was Kuldeep.
No, sir, that was not.
Was saying that RBS was saying. Yes, organizations, existing department, units, or teams with
OBS.
their respective work packages.
OBS could be.
शायद डी रहेगा ना,
Okay.
ओबीएस
D,
ऑर्गेनाइजेशन।
organization breakdown structure.
RBS we only have with respect to resources.
करेक्ट, ये डी लग रहा है।
Mm.
With their respective work packages, okay, existing the structure
Project
that you are
drawing.
using arrange around according to department, units, or teams with their
But
OBS ही
मगर
लग रहा है
होता है
D.
क्या है?
Even I think D should be the answer here. What is the
Will
answer?
will that be organization breakdown structure as well, Sanjay? We haven't heard it here.
We
Organization
spoke
breakdown
about it. So
structure.
it is organization breakdown structure, OBS.
Okay.
Mm.
डी
This,
लग रहा है।
so it is called as OBS. So just check answer क्या बोल रहा है? You have answers for this?
या हाँ,
And ये
दूसरा
कहाँ
भी।
से मिला तेरे को स्क्रीनशॉट?
बट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ब्रेकडाउन स्ट्रक्चर तो हम ओवरऑल कंसिडर लेते हैं ना, और इट इज फॉर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन नॉट फॉर द प्रोजेक्ट, राइट?
Correct,
नहीं,
Shishir.
project-
So in that thing, if you read that thing, you will realize that they have given three type of structures. One structure for the project could be like that OBS structure. One structure is text based, and one is the Rasi matrix one. So they are, B, C, and D are there. Now, resource breakdown structure is basically, you are saying resources, people, manpower, non-manpower. Then, in the manpower, these type of people under non-manpower, raw material, वगैरह वो है. That is RBS. So here, while it is related to the organizational structure of your project, which is, it is called as OBS, or sometimes they call it as organogram. So in my opinion, the answer should be D, unless, I am always ready to get surprise. है क्या नीचे में आंसर है इसके?
और एक देख ले सेकंड, फिर दोनों का आंसर देख लेते।
Sure. The project success is heavily dependent on the leadership and management style of the project manager. Even though we do not usually distinguish between leading and managing, see, this word was there. It is generally believed that there is a difference between these two. Which of the following is typically considered to be responsibility associated with managing, not leadership? Consistently produce the key result expected by the stakeholder. Looks like good for assigning to manager, but let's see BCD as well. Establish direction, mission, and vision. Aligning team member to establish direction, and motivate and inspiring. Yes, friends.
ये
Is it bad to do B, C, or D? Establish direction, mission, vision. Is it bad? Aligning team member to establish
सर
direction.
अलाइन में
Bad?
फिर वो रिजल्ट नहीं आएगा ना,
ये
रिजल्ट भी तो चाहिए।
नहीं कुलदीप, फिर से he is saying associated with managing, not
Managing,
leadership. वो B, C, and D are the characteristic of a leader,
लीडरशिप का,
while A is a characteristic of a manager.
की डिलीवरेबल्स, डिलीवरिंग द
वो
डिलीवरेबल्स।
देखा आपने? ऊपर में लिखा है
हाँ हाँ,
उसमें
देखा देखा
heavily dependent on leadership and management style. So उसमें A is a very clear characteristic of a manager. B, C, and D are very good thing to do, Kuldeep, but they are good by a leader. and that's where A actually becomes a winner here with that. So good, that's interesting. देख ले आंसर इसके. We are going with D and A, I think. ना ये कहाँ से मिला तेरे को?
ढूंढा सर अभी इधर उधर से.
तो बट ये स्क्रीनशॉट है ये पूरा.
ना ना
D and A,
पीडीएफ है
you are
ये.
right. हाँ.
डी एंड
Good. Anyway, I mean, if you are able to get the source, just share it with all other people as well. They might as well benefit, reading that, because quality of question was good. I mean, at least 2 sample questions were good. So, should we go back and start our thing?
Sure.
Yes. So now coming back to our topic there, friends, and we'll start with something called as the procurement. Maria, madam, back.
Yes, I'm back.
Good. So we are trying to solve some questions while we were waiting for you to join. So good, interesting. So just we are trying, some questions, Maria, in the meantime. Okay. So coming back to interesting thing called as a procurement. But every time when I come there, I need to always start with bird's eye view. And here is my bird's eye view, which shows me whole of the thing in one go. I think it's here. So let me show you a total picture first, and then we'll go ahead and look into the thing. So this whole block we have completed. Today is procurement and stakeholder. 3 processes in procurement, 4 processes in stakeholder. Stakeholder is very simple thing. There are only 2 important tools and techniques. Doesn't take much of a time. But procurement is sometimes tricky, friends. Sometimes tricky because you would have realized that everyone, in our companies, our role when there is something to be procured, something is required for the project, our role is limited to raise a requisition. Is that correct, friends? In your company as well, is that true to say that you as a project manager need to raise a requisition and there is another department which will go ahead and work on the vendors and all that? Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, because so Swati, sometimes they call it as a PR system, sometimes they call it as requisition system, sometimes they call it as service order. जो बोलना है बोलो, but requisition you need to raise, correct? And then there is a department behind who is working onto that. They take that requisition, they were identify who are the prospect vendor, then speak to them, finally get the contract, and then they give the purchase order. And then once the services start coming, you get back into the action, because then you start accepting or rejecting those services or goods. Correct, friends? Yes, Shishir, is that right? Rahul?
Yes, Sanjay.
So that's where what happens, Shishir, is that people working into the service industry find it difficult to understand procurement, some of the procurement terms you may not be knowing. So this chapter, this procurement and quality, these are the 2 chapters which sometimes become a challenge for some of the participants to understand. So it's an important chapter in that particular thing. 3 processes, as you can see on this particular plan procurement, it's an intensive project manager's job, saying that what do you want to outsource? If you are going to outsource, there are 2 options, friends. One is, first option is make in-house or outsource. Correct? So if you look at it there are 2 options here. Here I will say choices. Choice may do it in-house, and second option is outsourcing. These are the choices you need to make on your project, which activities, which resources, which material, which infrastructure you want to do it in-house and which you want to outsource. In terms of outsource, there are 2 choices. One is take it on the rent or buy it outright. If you believe that that particular resource, that particular infrastructure, material, person, whatever, everything is procurement. If it is going to be useful beyond the project life cycle, you will go and choose buy, because that will be cheaper. If you believe that it's only useful for this project for limited time, you might rent. For the rent, obviously you'll have to pay more rent as compared to buy. But what will I do by keeping that resource? So you might choose sometimes rent. So basically, there are choices about doing either make, this is called as a make or buy. and under the buy or outsource, there is rent or buy. So those are the two choices which are done in plan procurement. So plan procurement is there. Now, when you are actually doing this, friends, I'm sure in your organization's PR system, you might have to give a lot of detail things when you are raising the PR. Is that right? I mean, is that a very detailed form? Yes, when you are raising the requisition. Let's take a very funny example. You want chair. Because right now there is a chair in front of me. So मेरे को वही example समझ में आ रहा है. Okay. So when you are raising the requisition for chair, writing that we need 12 chairs is not enough. Why?
It needs to be specific. It can be any kind of chair, any size.
Correct? With armrest, with pushback, with cushion. क्या चाहिए आपको? If you don't write Maria, there are people who are sitting in the purchase department. They know how to bring the cheapest one in the market. They are employed for that. वो लाके सस्ता वाला एक चेयर लाके पटक देंगे, 12 चेयर है, 12 चेयर ले लो मारिया, अब आप देखो इसका क्या करना है. So it becomes Maria's responsibility there to specify what she exactly want. Armrest चाहिए, ये चाहिए, ये चाहिए. Now this is a very funny example, but don't think like that. If you want to say that I want 3 testers on thing, it is your responsibility that testing का कौन सा background, domain कितना चाहिए, experience क्या चाहिए. There are sometimes requirements related to the vendor which is actually selected. Is it? You as a project manager sometimes might go ahead and specify only choose this type of vendor. Remember, Shishir, if you go ahead and tell them saying that go to Pune and मेरा एक दोस्त का कंपनी उससे खरीद केला, वो क्राइम है. That's a crime.
Right.
Correct, Shishir?
Right.
Because it
Conflict
is
of
their
interest.
choice, यार. I mean, तू तो ऐसे नहीं बोल सकता है ना. तुझे क्या चाहिए तू बोल. तेरे दोस्त की बात तू मत कर ना, वो तो देखने दे उसको. Okay, but then what would be in which way you can specify even about the vendors? Anyone
By
can
brand and all.
Correct. So Shishir has a choice to say that. Now look at it here. Sometimes they say that the prospect vendor should have a turnover of at least 5 crores. It should have a total team size of minimum 200. ये टाइप का चीज आप स्पेसिफाई कर सकते हो. करेक्ट? Why? Why that?
Because it is generic.
It is generic, and more than that, when you say 200, you mean कि यार कोई छोटा बंदा आके 10 लोगों का स्टार्टअप है, he will go ahead and give you a very aggressive pricing project ले लेगा, बाद में उसके पास आदमी नहीं रहेंगे वो करने के लिए, and then you will land in trouble. Correct?
Right.
I mean, just by
I mean,
pulling out the PO or not paying him, वो तो मर जाएगा बेटी, तेरा प्रोजेक्ट भी खत्म हो जाएगा शीशे.
right.
So you as well specify the very reason that the vendor should have a turnover of so many lakhs for last 3 years. ये type का requirement बहुत commonly are specified by the prospect customer. Is that correct? Yes. So much of turnover for last 3 years. ये type का requirement आपने देखा? By the way, if you have not seen,
Yeah.
there are some.
मैं normally ये सर government tenders वगैरह जो निकलते हैं, those normally has these kind of
because there
criteria.
they have burned their fingers so many times, so they end up doing it. आपको भी करना ही पड़ेगा. Otherwise, what will happen, friends? See, it needs an investment, यार. I mean, उसको 10 लैपटॉप खरीदना पड़ा, and if that guy is startup, he will not be able to buy, na. By saying that 50 lakhs turnover for last 3 years, you are saying you are financially stable. That thing is all what we are saying. We are trying to see what happens in plan procurement, the very first process called as plan procurement. What happens there is, it is your responsibility, Shishir, to write all that thing there and say that while choosing the vendor, do this. Don't tell them that you go to this vendor. That's not your job. But you are allowed to say what all things they should do while doing that. Okay, that is plan procurement. Intensively the project manager's job. Correct, Raj?
Yeah.
intensively the project manager job. He will go ahead, raise that particular requisition, submit that requisition. The moment that submit happens, the purchase department, the central purchase departments will get into the action. They will go ahead and start searching prospect vendor. That is where conduct procurement comes into the picture. In conduct procurement, what we do is that we start searching the prospect vendors, then get their offers, evaluate those offers not only commercially, also technically. And once you go ahead and shortlist, maybe out of the 10 vendors, some 3 vendors you have shortlisted, do the final negotiation, issue the purchase order. That is conduct procurement. Conduct procurement का boundary वहां है. This is intensively the central purchase department's job. Project manager will get involved here only if he has been requested to do so. Are you getting this, friends?
Yes.
शिशिर unnecessarily फोन करके अरे या उसका क्या हुआ is not a fair practice. Are you getting? Procurement एक ऐसा चैप्टर है शिशिर, all over the companies potential for fraud ये सबसे ज्यादा जगह होती है, correct? You know that.
Yeah.
So here any even enthusiasm or over proactiveness here will smell into something different. Is that correct?
Correct.
So project manager might get involved into conduct procurement if he has been requested to do so. If it is not, wait kar, tera kaam wo nahi hai. And then once the material comes, control procurement, this is an intensive job done by 3 people together. One is the project manager himself who has raised the requisition. What do you think he will be doing once the materials and goods comes?
Verifying with the requirements.
Correct. Verifying with the thing. Yes, Sachin?
Inspection.
No? Inspection, correct. You will have to inspect. कि जो आया है वो exactly जो मैंने बोला था वो है कि नहीं. That is your job, correct? Yes, Kuldeep?
Yeah. Change request if something is
Correct.
not as per the requirements.
Now, do you know that, here the purchase department has a limitation there. So Kuldeep may be a junior guy, very junior guy in the project management, but उसके पास आएगा and then they will say कि कुलदीप ये इसको approve करके ये बराबर हुआ है कि नहीं है. Now Kuldeep ends up taking some 7-8 days, busy था, कुछ कर नहीं पाया. It is quite possible Kuldeep, the vice president of the procurement, might pick up a phone and request you saying that कि यार वो थोड़ा जल्दी clear करना. Can a vice president of procurement go ahead and accept the services?
No.
No. Are you getting this? Are you getting this? Yes, Kuldeep?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that's not, I mean, that वो जो जिसने requisition दी, and that's the control, checks and balance रहता है. सब organization में these are the checks and balances. If the very senior person or procurement could do it, तुमको पता भी नहीं चलेगा, payment करके खाली हो जाएगा वो, and then he would have everything. So that's how this is balanced. So here first step is done by you people as a project manager. Second one who come into the picture sometimes could be the procurement department. Who they will do the follow up. They will go ahead and approve their invoices कि हाँ ये approve हो चुका है. And who do you think is the third team which will come into the picture?
Cost finance team.
Finance team. And why finance team?
Cost control.
And more than that control is payment.
Payment.
Payment करना पड़ेगा ना. You have to do payments because you have done a contract here. Remember, the very word contract means it is signed by 2 people. So the vendor's responsibility is to provide you the goods on time. It is your responsibility to pay him on time as well. Correct? So finance department need to do the payment. Obviously, as you said, Shishir, controlling the cost is another objective of them. So these are the 3 processes at a broad overview level. We have not gone deeper, but that's what is those 3 processes. Now let's go deeper into each one of them. Sometimes, as I told you, some of the terms here are not necessarily we are familiar with. As I told you, these are the things which come under the central procurement department, which we may not be aware of. So some processes could be.
Yeah.
So there.
So, Sanjay, procurement can be in anything, right? So I mean, everything will imply on our project cost.
Correct. Now, whatever is that cost will go onto your project's cost. Correct. So in that sense, it is in your interest to ensure that they do the right deals. Correct, Shishir?
Yeah.
तो वो तो कॉस्ट तो तेरे प्रोजेक्ट पे ही आने वाला है. करेक्ट. नाउ द ओनली थिंग दैट देख, जैसे इफ यू आर सेइंग मेक और बाय, may rent or buy. Now, if buy was the choice, then maybe part of that cost will come onto your project and remaining will go to the organization. Correct? है ना?
Right.
Now, specific type of chairs, if you call, remember in that chair type of example, Shishir, you would realize there is not, the cost will not be charged to your project, but there would be a depreciation. Correct? Yes, correct. The depreciation will be, obviously, if your project is going to use there for 6 months, for 6 months, the depreciation will come onto your cost. So that's how this is going to run. So that was an interesting observation. Look at it here, purchase, these are the processes to purchase, which means outright purchase, then acquire the resources, particularly from a third party, the vendor, supplier, those type of thing, not from internal department. For internal department, procurement process doesn't come into the picture. You have to obviously make the contract, which sometimes are called as PO, which means purchase order. LOI stands for letter of intent. When you don't have time and you want to start the work quickly, when you want start, the vendor should start the work immediately, and you are going to take some more time before you release the final purchase order. Sometimes, a letter of intent is given, which means on your letterhead with the appropriate authority, they say that we are confirming that we'll give you this PO in coming very soon days. Plus, but till then, please treat this as our intent to start this work, and please start, because that company also could be a company, and they can't just on your phone call start working on it. They will need something from you, and LOIs are those. LOIs are not the replacement of PO. LOIs are only as a time being, till the time purchase order is made, you can issue the LOI. Have you experienced this process? Have you participated sometime with LOI? By the way, friends, it is just possible that in this whole process you would have participated on the other side of the table. Are you getting this? What do I mean? Arya? Other side of the table, what is that?
Be the one who's procuring?
Or other way around. I'm saying you are the vendor as well, correct?
Oh, right.
Because
Yeah.
you are a vendor as well. So, did you notice that sometimes when customer comes up and picks the phone and says, Maria, ये बहुत urgent है. Next month boss will be free, that time we'll give you the purchase order, but काम तू चालू कर दे. Now, can you do that, Maria?
No, has to be in written.
And that's where LOI. LOI is a time being arrangement for the purchase. It's not a replacement of purchase order, correct? So I'm sure you would have seen these type of commitments. Now LOIs could be a simple email. Sometimes it has to be a proper thing there. MOU stands for Memorandum of Understanding. SLA stands for Service Level Agreements. These are different names given to the contract. But remember, friend, the very word contract says it is between two people. And unless two people, both the people sign it, saying that, yes, we agree to that, it doesn't become a contract. Contract has to be signed by two parties. Number two, any changes into the contract will be done only when both the parties agrees to that. They cannot be changed unanimously by one particular side. Some questions might actually hit across that. The contract. So those two principles. Number one, it is always signed by two people. If I were to add, it is always legal. What does it mean? Legal means is that if some party doesn't fulfill the conditions, the other party can pull them into the court. So contracts are legal. And third one, as I told you, if you are going to make any changes in the contract, both the party need to agree. If they don't agree, one party unanimously cannot change the contract. So those are some characteristics. You might get some questions there. It is handled by the teams outside the project, as I told you, central purchase departments, and three processes I explained you on that master chart. So now going deeper, some concept. Procurement is a main job of the project manager, because you can't make everything in-house. Obviously, you need to, get it, outsource some of the tasks sometimes. And that's where they are saying that you may not be a master, in terms of the legal thing, but you need to be aware of the legality aspect. What is GST? So when a vendor says that you want, so a vendor person comes to you and gives you a presentation and says that that Raj, आप लोगों को training चाहिए ना, तो I will give the training to all your staff, and I will charge you whatever 40 lakhs INR और GST लगा देंगे सर. Now, GST तो देना ही पड़ता है. That's what he said. Now, Raj, what they are trying to say, you need to understand what is the GST, what is the percentage, what does it mean. You need to understand. Is that making sense? Are there
Yes.
are there labor related laws you need to know as a project manager?
Yes.
Because going with an assumption that, why do I need to know is not right. Just if you want to ask a contract person to stay back in the office beyond 5 p.m. could have a legal aspect there. Are you getting it?
Yeah.
Correct? So, आपका बंदा रहेगा मारिया, वो इफ यू आस्क हिम कि नहीं नहीं ये पूरा काम खत्म करके जा, तो बेचारा 7 बजे की विरार फास्ट पकड़ के जाएगा घर. करेक्ट?
जी.
बट वेंडर टैक्सी का पैसा मांग सकता है तेरे को. इट इज जस्ट पॉसिबल इन द कॉन्ट्रैक्ट. इट इज सेड 5 बजे छोड़ना पड़ेगा, नहीं तो टैक्स का पैसा. यू नीड टू नो दैट. करेक्ट फ्रेंड्स?
Yes. Yeah.
And this is very simple.
Yes.
It is possible he might charge you overtime for that. Correct?
Yeah.
In the European countries, asking someone to wait beyond 5 p.m. could be called as a criminal action on your part. Do you know that?
Yeah. There is a legal
Yes.
thing.
इंडिया में आना चाहिए रूल.
Now that's your wish, Sachin. Now coming back to that, another thing is that also, coming back to the thing, for example, even in India, Sachin, there is a rule that if there is a lady employee, a female employee, for them to work in the late night hours, there are rules. It's not disallowed, nahi hai wo, but there are so many rules there. You know that?
Yes.
Now that you need to know. Otherwise, you could inadvertently end up getting into some legal complication. And that level of understanding is required by the project manager. Based on the requirement, contract could be complex or simple. Sometimes it's very simple contract, but sometimes it is across countries, multiple geographies. As I told you, these labor laws will change, the currencies will change. Payment, the payment currency will be one and purchase currency will be different. So all those complications you need to, always remember when it is across the geography. Contract should clearly mention what is the deliverable, as I told you. Don't say, I want chairs. You say, I want such and such chair with revolving thing, hand, arm rest and whatnot. So write it very clearly. What are the deliverables, including knowledge transfer. Any idea what does it mean? What is the knowledge transfer requirement from vendors?
Once the job is done, need to
Uh-huh.
hand over everything and transfer the knowledge as well with the documentation.
And what this line is saying, Shishir?
Include that in the contract as well.
Contract. Thinking that, Shishir, तू बैठ के सोचा कि हाँ मेरे को तो लगा तुम दे दोगे सिस्टम तो you will give also the training. No, that's very innocent of you. Correct, Shishir?
Yes.
They will say कि बॉस तूने कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में आया, वेंडर विल कम बैक एंड टेल शिशिर सर मजा आएगा, करेंगे ट्रेनिंग और 10 लाख रुपए दे दो.
Yes.
Obviously, if you are not mentioned in the contract, why he is not abide by that? He will ask you. So what they are trying to say, do all the things specified very clearly so that there are no ambiguities about it. Project team should ensure that their project requirements are very clearly reflected in the contract so that, there is nothing, no ambiguity about it. Then contracts are called as SLA, MOA or whatever. MOA stands for Memorandum of Agreement. Sometimes they use a word called as MOU, Memorandum of Understanding. So multiple names for this. Organization often have a prescribed process, to follow. For example, all the companies would have something called as a PR system, a web-based system on which you can log in as a project manager, raise the requisition. That requisition will get approved by your departmental head or maybe the delivery head. Then it will go to the purchase department. It will get assigned to some buyer. That buyer will call multiple proposals and submit it to a panel. So all that there is a specified workflow which is there. You need to be aware of it. These are OPAs which are there. Sellers may be called as contractor, vendor, service provider, whatever, multiple names. In the smaller companies, project manager also could play the role in conducting procurement. See, what he is trying to refer is this. He is trying to say that if you are part of a small company, maybe like a startup, if it is there, you will have to play a role here as well. But in a big company, no. Are you getting this point, friends?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
In big companies, it could be treated as your interference, correct? Correct,
Yeah.
Sachin?
Yeah.
हाँ
Because
फॉर्मली तो नहीं कर सकते लेकिन सर इनफॉर्मली वो उसको अपना रिकमेंडेशन तो देते हैं वो इनफॉर्मली वो लोग
हाँ, अब
ये
वो
वेंडर
कर
इस टाइप
obviously
का
there you need to I mean you need to be very careful. You can't jump your step. Correct, Kuldeep?
हाँ बाउंड्री से बाहर नहीं जाना है
हाँ, एक बाउंड्री से बाहर जाओगे तो इट विल बी ट्रीटेड एज अ एज अ थिंग. एंड रिमेम्बर यार कुलदीप, वो लोग दे आर डीलिंग विद दिस टाइप ऑफ थिंग डे इन एंड डे आउट. वो लोगों को ना तू बड़े अच्छे इंटेंशन से बोले उनको वही स्मेल आता है. See, वो पुलिस
बराबर है
वाले परचेस वाले वो लोग जो रहते हैं ना, वो दे आर डीलिंग विद दैट सिचुएशन फॉर सो मच दैट फॉर देम एवरीथिंग इज सस्पिशियस. करेक्ट.
बराबर है सर उसमें
तो
करप्शन भी बहुत होता है इस वाले स्टेज
होता ही है. I mean, that's the place where it happens. So
पे
that's where obviously they are little cautious about the thing. So as you said rightly कि boundary रखना चाहिए. कभी भी ऐसा मत करो कि boundary. By the way, what you are saying, Kuldeep, is a tool and technique they have said here. They have very clearly said that in procurement also there are interpersonal and team skills which are required. What you are saying is that सिर्फ पीआर डाल के इफ यू थिंक दैट तेरे को मिलेगा सर्विसेज, पीएमआई ऑल्सो से दैट ऐसा नहीं होने वाला. तेरे को फोन पिकअप करना पड़ेगा कुलदीप, और बोलना पड़ेगा भैया वो मेरा पीआर पे थोड़ा सा ना जल्दी जल्दी करो. दैट्स व्हाट इज इंटरपर्सनल एंड टीम स्किल्स है ना. आई मीन दीज आर टूल्स एंड टेक्निक फॉर पीएमआई. करेक्ट. So you need to have those things there. Organization will have a process. Yeah, sailors may be called as contractor vendor. In a smaller organization, PM may also play the role of conduct. And now here there is an important thing. In the international quarter, there is something called as legal jurisdiction. Have you heard this word, legal jurisdiction? What is that?
Yes.
And what's that, Maria?
It's the physical territory under which the jurisdiction applies.
Which means if there is a fight between vendor and the customer, if there is a dispute between the company which is supplying the services and taking the thing. Now remember, one is a French company, other one is Indian company. Indian
Hmm.
company goes into the Indian court. That French companies will go say that ki tu to you go to the Supreme Court. Yeah, I don't care. I don't come under your Indian court. I am governed by European court or maybe the France wala court. What need to now how do you handle what they say that in the contract, remember it is in the contract, so signed by both the people, you need to say that any dispute in this particular contract will be handled into the jurisdiction of the whatever French court or Indian court, and you need to sign it. What is it? The moment you sign it, you are liable to answer into that. So tomorrow if in Indian High Court issues a issues a summons to someone there, he will have to obey it because he has agreed contractually. That is called as legal jurisdiction, which means in which court will there see if there is no dispute, yes, अब कुछ picture में नहीं आएगा. But when there is a dispute, you need to be very unambiguous saying that where I am going to settle these things. Correct, friends? Yes, friends, understood?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Now, what happens here is that this point might come later because we are speaking about legal jurisdiction. They are very clearly saying कि boss ये जो है ना this legal jurisdiction and what happens after that is called as litigation. It is called as litigation. Have you heard this word litigation?
Yes.
कुलदीप को कोर्ट कचेरी बोलते हैं ना, कोर्ट कचेरी is
हाँ सही है
litigation. तो
बराबर है
तो they say PMI very clearly says this should be your third choice. What should be the first choice?
पर्सन
First
टू
choice,
पर्सन
negotiate amongst yourself. Sit across the table, try to, come across whatever is, agreeable to both of you. That should be your first step. Don't try to get into, litigation every now and then. It is very expensive as well as, it is not going to give you any solution. There is a second step here, and that's where there is a word called as ADR. ADR is a short form for something called as alternative dispute resolution. Alternative dispute resolution. This is the second way. What does it mean? That in the contract you need to write saying that if there are any ambiguities about it, which body will be treated as alternative dispute resolution. So, they might say that vice president from the customer side and, the delivery head from the vendor side, they will come together and they will take the call. If there is any dispute about it, negotiation से solve नहीं हुआ, whatever they will say, both the parties will have to obey. That's called the alternative dispute resolution, ADR. This also need to be written in the contract. And in the contract, litigation or legal jurisdiction. ये तीनों चीज contract में चाहिए. So, and then obviously using it in terms of using it, step 1 first. If it doesn't work, go to the 2. And if doesn't work, go to the 3. Correct?
सर 3 भी काम नहीं किया तो
Huh?
कुएं में जाओ.
Yes, Kuldeep. What did you say?
अगर वो 3rd भी काम नहीं किया तो क्या है, कुएं में जाओ.
तो क्या वो, हाँ वो क्या करेंगे? Then it becomes so many things. I mean, वो आप क्या
हाँ
करेंगे?
नहीं,
उससे
ठीक
आगे
है
कुछ
सर.
नहीं है. उसके आगे
इट वाज
कुछ नहीं है.
लाइट
Correct.
नोट, लाइटर नोट.
Exactly. Correct. So that's how, those are the 3 things. Correct, friends? Understood? Yes. So international contract, legal jurisdiction is mandatory. Coming to trends and emerging practices, they say use the advanced tools to manage procurement should be leveraged. For example, for searching the vendor these days, you can't send mail to so many people. Publish thing as a tender document on the proper forum and go and do it. For commercial thing, I think you might have, वो industrial वाले एक ये होते हैं marketplaces, not like Amazon. If you and me want to buy something, we search on Amazon, but there are industrial exchanges. आपने देखा होगा, वो कभी आता है ना, देखा था क्या आपने? So those type of technological thing you need to use. So then simulation tools are always useful to reduce the procurement cost substantially. See, good old days when we used to design some changes to be done in tractor or the cars and all that thing, we were required to manufacture that whole part, assemble it and try it. Maybe make 100 parts, try it with different vehicles and all that thing. Nowadays with CAM and CAD type of thing, you can actually go ahead and without manufacturing anything, you can go ahead and say that that if I go ahead and introduce one more airbag into the car, what are the chances, what are the possibility that the life of the people will get saved more? So yes, some simulation will happen automatically. That's what is, it's not only about the car industry. I mean, I spoke about it, but all over it is there. These days, if you want to go ahead and say that in my home, if I go ahead and give such and such paint, how did the home look? You need not have to buy a small patch and give it. Well, there are tools which will show you there. So that's what you should do. More advanced risk management with the seller. Sometimes you need to go ahead and do an agreement with them saying that first of all, I will give you for order only for 10 numbers. You don't make much of a money there, recover only the cost there. And if this gets confirmed, if I believe that this is working well, I will need 10,000 parts there. That order, I am confirming that I will give it to you only. So, for those 10, you do a joint risk management along with that. So that, if it works, it's, brilliant. You will get business. I will also get it. If it doesn't work, you don't make loss. You just, you don't even invest anything. So that's what. Changing the contracting process due to the globalization, then large volume contract with the supplier, and so many. Sometimes, there are contracts which are having 5-year duration. Have you heard about it? IT industry में बहुत बार होता है. Someone has signed 5 years support contract with someone. Have you heard it?
हाँ सर, रहता है
Yeah.
5 साल का.
Very common. Now, what
Common
could be
है.
the complication because of that?
सर वो चेंज नहीं कर सकते, लेकिन उसमें नेगोशिएशन का अच्छा आपको स्कोप मिलता है.
वो मिलता है.
हाँ.
उसमें रॉ मटेरियल का कॉस्ट का क्या करेगा तू खुद, है ना? That could become a problem.
हम्म.
Currency rate,
अब वो रिस्क रहता है सर.
रिस्क रहता है. तो those are, that's what he's saying, changing this is due to globalization, contract of large value, other country supplier. ये common है इसमें. You need to get aligned. How do we get aligned? We'll see one particular tool there, but not necessarily that is the only tool. What they are trying to say is, it's not unlike, the good old days. Logistic and supply chain management in large contract where skilled staff or special material will not be stocked. Remember, if you are going to order some server or anything, I mean, it's not going to come from the dealer and it will come. They will build it for you. Now, if you give an order for a specialized server to HP, it's not going to be in the stock. They will make it as per your thing. So you need to consider lead time. Technology and stakeholder relationships are, to be used like new technology. They have given an example. Civil construction guys these days install the web cameras. They'll all their website. So if the customer want to go ahead and track the progress, he need not have to, travel all the way so long and then stay there and check the thing. Sitting and he on his thing, just on some URL, he will be able to almost visit that whole site and check, saying that how is the work going on. So those type of automations are quite commonly used. And sometimes trial engagements are done, which means on the no loss no profit basis some engagement, and if it materializes into a larger deal there, go ahead and get the benefit. Prototypes are very commonly used so that the investment is limited, but at the same time you get a feel about how the product is going to do. These are the trends. Tailoring, when you are doing it, you need to tailor it based on following things. For example, complexity of the procurement. If it is multi-currency, multi-country, multiple years, it's complex thing. You need to take care of that. Geographical location of buyer and seller. If they are from the same country, things are simpler. If they are from multiple countries, things are complicated. Governance required by the organization. There are huge governance requirement in procurement, by the way. For example, have you heard that, sometimes they say that if there is a prospect order, which is more than whatever, 10 lakhs rupees, there should be at least 3 offers. Have you heard about it?
Yes, sir.
Have you heard also that, if there is a order which is more than 25 lakhs, it should be signed by a panel of 3 people. One of them should be at the general manager level. ये type का आपने सुना है?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying. So, these are governance requirements which are there. They are always all over there. Don't, even think that Maria is if government के लिए. It is applicable to all the companies. Correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Regulatory and statutory requirement by the industry. There are so many material and all that. You just can't order it and buy it. I mean, there are statutory requirements there. For example, certain chemicals and certain explosive type of thing which are required as a raw material for some industry, but it cannot be just, you can't go to the market and buy it, or you can't just, buy it from some vendor and put it into some truck and say, कि मेरे यहाँ पे लेके जा. You can't do that. There are regulatory requirements which are applicable. You need to fulfill with them, and tailoring also need to be done on the basis of availability of the seller. That's what are the points which you need to always keep into the mind. So tailoring consideration. Then comes, in case of agile, remember it's a joint risk model for buyer and the seller. See, one of the concern about agile type of thing is that scope is not frozen, and if scope is not frozen, the vendor will not be able to give you a fixed cost. Correct, friends? Will your vendor be, or you ask your vendor to give a fixed price thing, what he will ask first?
The scope and timeline.
Yes. And ये आपको मालूम नहीं है. If you are doing agile, the scope
Yeah.
is evolving. So then you cannot go ahead. It's called as a shared risk model, which means, you go ahead and sign a plain contract saying that, per FT, so much of the money you will charge, and number of FTs will keep on updating you at the start of every month. And you provide as per that. Those type of thing you need to do. So risks and rewards are shared by both here. This is a rule of all the market. Whosoever takes the risk will take the reward. That's how it is there. So you both get the rewards and you both take the risk. Since scope of work is evolving, master service agreement is better. What does it mean? For example, as I told you, per FT, I will charge you 6,000 INR per day per FT. And how many FTAs I will use for the, for the coming sprint, I will tell you at the start of the sprint. That's it. So those type of master service agreement you do it, and then under the master service agreement, create every work package. So each work package you will go ahead and release the details there. Master conditions are there in the bigger agreement. Details are in the work package. And as per that, you start delivering the thing and complete it. This will ensure that contract is not changed very frequently. Plan procurement, process of documenting the project procurement, requirements, decisions, specify the approach and identify potential sellers. Remember here he's saying potential center. This is a project manager job. No? Project manager is not going to finalize the thing. He might identify potential seller and tell them, say, these could be the vendors. Decide if you want to buy the product or get it done. So that's where I was saying make in house or bought out. In the bought out, you might have a rent or buy. So those are the choices what you need to do it, and you need to obviously document it along with the justification. Whatever you are going to outsource, you will have to give a justification. Why are you doing so? So that justification. Define the roles and responsibility related to the procurement. Who will do what? Who will approve the materials when they are, who will approve the purchase order, all those things. Often procurement activities are done by the central team, which is not often, I think always likhna chahiye isko, which is not the part of the project team. Project team must be able to provide requirements clearly to purchasing department. Otherwise, as I told you, a funny example, they will bring the cheapest chair for you. So it's your responsibility to specify what do you want very clearly. It creates the procurement management plan, which is part of the larger thing. These are the inputs, which are all we have seen it. EFs are very important here. One is ready sources. Sometimes you want certain services, and even people smell that some requirement is like that. Maybe some 15 vendors come and start asking, sir, सुना है आपके यहाँ पे ऐसा कुछ काम है, please हम भी करेंगे. Sometimes there are 15 people who are there, and sometimes it is other way around. What does it mean, friends? Have you came across that situation? Yes, Sachin?
Survey midway, there could not be anyone.
हाँ, आपने देखा है सचिन, कभी कभी you need to go ahead and convince the prospect vendor कि यार तू कर लेगा, तू ले तो ले, हम लोग है ना. That's what you need to do. Have you experienced it? Have you seen it? There is no vendor to take that particular thing. In that, you'll have to make someone available. Maybe you'll have to probably help him and do that. That's what is there. That's an EF. It's beyond your control. Existing vendors and their past performance. If there are a lot of vendors already there, you will be able to choose, the best out of it. If you don't have, then you'll have to go with whosoever is available there. Typical commercial, any local practices related to the law. Now, these are all EF. For example, at least in Maharashtra, I know there is something called as a Mathadi uh, labor law. I don't know if anyone has heard about that. Have you heard this?
Yes.
You heard about it, Kuldeep?
हाँ सर, आजकल तो
सब स्टेट में ये ना मालूम है कि मैं महाराष्ट्र में
सर, ये
correct.
वर्ड तो सुना है माथाड़ी, बट इसका
This-
मतलब नहीं पता है. ये न्यूज में इधर उधर आता रहता है कभी कभी.
आते रहता है ना, करेक्ट. यस मारिया, आपने सुना था क्या?
नहीं सर.
Basically what happens, is that, yeah, and this is in all state. I know about Maharashtra because I am in Maharashtra, Kuldeep. If you are having, let's say, Ludhiana में तेरा कोई factory है, और वो factory से you are making some big machinery and you are sending and giving it to a customer who is in Maharashtra, तो तूने महाराष्ट्र में भेज दिया, and while sending that, वहां पे unloading करके install करना है तेरे को. If you send the labor from Haryana in that truck, and those people start downloading that material from the truck, it is not only registered by the local labor, it is crime. You know this, Kuldeep?
हाँ मालूम है सर.
For the low end work, you need to use the local labor. That's the law.
हाँ, बंगाल में भी सर ये बहुत कॉमन है, हर जगह होता
बहुत
है.
कौन है? केरला में जाके देख, you'll find huge. Now, sometimes it is just a pressure, political pressure. Sometimes it's a law. It's a law actually. So that's what he's trying to say. These are all the local practices which are there. You need to be contract making and payment systems
और
all
ट्रम्प
over
का
the
सरकार ही उस पे चल रहा है.
हाँ, सब पूरा उस पे चलता है, तो दैट्स हाउ इट इज देयर. कॉन्ट्रैक्ट मेकिंग सिस्टम में क्या होता है, फर्स्ट इज द पीआर सिस्टम वेर यू रेज इट, करेक्ट. उसके बाद में यू हैव दैट परचेसिंग सिस्टम, करेक्ट. देन देर इज, इट इज linked to something called as invoice approval, and then there is something called as ep. Have you heard this word? फाइनेंशियल टर्म एपी सुना होगा.
That accounts payable?
करेक्ट. इसका फाइनल डेस्टिनेशन मारिया अकाउंट्स पेएबल में ही जाएगा ना.
Yeah.
पेमेंट होगा उसका. So that's what is a chain there, and that's what is in contract making and payment systems, which are there all over. They are available in the, in each of the company there, and established vendor databases if it is there. I'm sure you would be knowing, there is something called as the certified vendors or approved vendor list. Do you have that in your company?
Yes.
कल जाके मारिया की कंपनी में कोई ट्रेनिंग का रिक्वायरमेंट आ जाता है, एंड देन मारिया, संजय जोशी ने मेरे को बहुत अच्छा पढ़ाया था, तो गिव दैट order, or at least take his offer. The company PR might say कि he is not an approved vendor. उसको पहला approved vendor होना पड़ेगा, उसके बाद we might think about giving. Is that, have you heard about this? Practice is very common, correct? That's what is established vendor database. OPS could be pre-approved sellers list, which is there. Then policies and procurements, and very important, three of the types there: contract type, fixed price, cost reimbursable, and time and material. These are the three type of contracts. Broadly, they have explained in procurement. You certainly get few questions on that. Kuldeep, while you are doing this, वो chat GPT में contract types पे थोड़ा एक डाल के रख, maybe we will try to solve some question there, Kuldeep. So three type of broad thing called as fixed price, cost reimbursable, and time and material. डाल दिया कुलदीप उसको, उसमें आया कुछ क्वेश्चंस?
नहीं सर, अभी आपका ये बात सुन रहा हूँ, मेरे को समझना
हाँ
भी
नहीं, मैं एक मिनट आई एम वेटिंग. जस्ट टाइप इट. मैं यू शुड लर्न दिस, यू शुड
कॉन्ट्रैक्ट टाइप्स
लिसन
पे
टू
सर.
दिस. कॉन्ट्रैक्ट टाइप्स या
रुकिए
प्रोक्योरमेंट
सर, आप
कॉन्ट्रैक्ट टाइम, पीएमपी, ऐसा कुछ लिख दे, आएंगे कुछ क्वेश्चन.
हाँ, टॉपिक्स वाली जगह पे चेंज कर देता हूँ, अभी आ जाएगा.
करेक्ट, उस पहले कॉन्ट्रैक्ट टाइप्स लिखना है, बस डाल के रख. विल ट्राई टू सॉल्व देम एज वी गेट टाइम. Did something
डाल
happen?
दिया सर, डाल
Okay,
दिया सर,
good.
डाल दिया.
Okay. Now let's try to see this fixed price. As it is said, price is fixed and scope is fixed. Obviously, you need to say that this is the scope. Once you go ahead and deliver this scope in this much of time, like this is the money I will give it to you. That's a plain simple solved as fixed price thing. Now you should do it only when you are very clear about what is the scope. If you are not clear about the scope, you as a buyer, remember, procurement chapter is written as if you are a buyer, not a seller. So you are a buyer. So if you are a buyer and if you try to give a fixed price contract to a vendor and your scope is not clear, what could be the problem?
Can you tell that again?
So Maria, I was saying that if you are not very clear about the scope and give a contract to a vendor in the fixed price mode, पहला पॉसिबिलिटी मारिया यही होगा कि वो ना बोलेगा, नहीं लेगा वो.
तो T&M में डाल
बट
सकते हैं.
समझो उसने ले लिया, तो व्हाट कुड बी योर प्रॉब्लम?
वो T&M में
वो
चलेगा.
स्कोप कंप्लीट नहीं हो पाया, तो इफ इट्स फिक्स प्राइस, एज जब प्राइस बर्न आउट हो जाएगा, देन द वेंडर इज गोना स्टॉप.
दैट इज वन प्राइस नहीं मारिया, एक छोटा चेंज बोलो वो पैसा मांगेगा हर चीज का.
हाँ, वही स्कोप के पीछे नहीं जाएगा
वो आपने क्लियर नहीं बोला था, यू सेड कि हाँ ये सब करना है, और वो ना थोड़ा मेरे को एक बैंक रिकंसिलेशन रिपोर्ट चाहिए, मैडम इसके पैसे अलग से पड़ेंगे, करेक्ट.
करेक्ट.
Everything you change, he will ask the money there. So you should go with this fixed price only when you are very clear about the scope. If you are not clear about it, don't get into this business. The smart vendor, see, if it is a normal vendor, he will not take that contract from you, Maria, which is much better situation. A smart vendor will take that contract from you, correct?
Yeah.
बड़ी कंपनी के साथ when you deal, very big companies, if you give them the contract there, you get in this trap, correct?
Yeah.
Small player, you will go ahead and shout Maria saying, तेरे को धंधा चाहिए कि नहीं? I mean, I'm saying so, do this. He might. Big companies would not care about you. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So fixed price is for fixed scope when it is a very clear thing. Otherwise, don't land into this. Okay, that's what they are saying. Is that clear? Kuldeep, you are saying something?
मैं सर वो पूछ रहा था ये टीएनएम में आएगा क्या?
हाँ, अब उसके सेकंड टाइप्स है ना, वो देखेंगे ना हम लोग. अभी
ठीक
फिलहाल
है.
फिक्स प्राइस खत्म करें. वो यू आर राइट, यू आर गोइंग टू द नेक्स्ट पॉइंट कॉल्ड एज अ टीएनएम. बट देयर इज नॉट ओनली टीएनएम, देयर इज वन मोर कॉल्ड एज अ सीआर. तो वो देखेंगे हम लोग नेक्स्ट 2 स्लाइड्स में. सो सो फ्रेंड्स, यू नो, इफ यू आर नॉट अंडरस्टूड व्हाट कुलदीप इज सेइंग, फिक्स प्राइस नहीं देना है तो फिर क्या देना है? तो फिर यू कैन गिव सीआर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट और टीएनएम. तो ये दोनों भी वी आर गोइंग टू सी इन द कमिंग स्लाइड फ्रेंड्स, सो डोंट वरी about it right now. Now coming back to in the fixed price, there is a firm fixed price which is common, which means this is the price, this is the scope, deliver karo, paisa leke jao, khatam. There is a thing called as a fixed price with incentive fees. You know, there is an incentive. They had complete this well within, you know, maybe in the year, 1 year. So the total contract, let's say, is what, 40 lakhs INR. 40 lakhs INR is the price of this particular thing. You are going to complete it within 1 year time. Okay, and now if you complete it 1 week before, for each week you save, for each week you save, you will be given an incentive of, let's say, whatever, 50,000 INR. Which means if you do it in 1 year, you'll get 40 lakhs. But if you do 2 weeks ahead of that, you'll get 40 lakhs as the fixed price plus 1 lakh rupees as the incentive for that. That's called as fixed price with incentive. Why do you think incentives are given?
I think if we are working with a vendor and incentivizing, then वो vendor लंबा नहीं खींचेगा, जल्दी से जल्दी खत्म करने की कोशिश करेगा.
And particularly, Maria, if you are investing your capital into that, आपका वो realization होना चाहिए ना वो capital का.
Sir,
Correct?
work is spent to fill the available time.
हाँ, वो एक प्रॉब्लम होता है, तो वेंडर पुल करेगा. देयर आर मल्टीपल सिचुएशंस फ्रेंड. यू नो, इफ इट इज अ, यू आर गोइंग टू बिल्ड सम एसेट, लेट्स से, यू नो, गवर्नमेंट डज दिस incentive type of thing for all the bridges and the highways. Correct, friends? Why is that? Toll. Are you realizing this? जब तक
Yes.
कंपनी ने टोल नहीं मिलेगा, ये इसने अगर 1 महीना जल्दी खत्म किया, आपको टोल मिलना चालू हो जाएगा. यू विल मेक मोर मनी आउट ऑफ इट. So if they are going to get lakhs of rupees out of it, paying some thousand to the vendor is always, you know, a wise choice. Correct? So incentivize, which is there. Another thing, Kuldeep, as you are saying, work expands to वाला जो है ना, उसमें क्या होता है कि if the same vendor has got similar, opportunity somewhere, and when he is running short of the labor or machinery, and आपने 1 year बोल दिया, 11वें महीने में 95% काम खत्म हो गया. Now that vendor takes the labor and machinery on some other side, कि यहाँ पे उसको काम करना है. Correct, Kuldeep? When you ask him
Yes,
and
sir.
if there is no incentive, he will say कि सर 1 साल बोला है ना आपने, अगले महीने में आएंगे ना, आप क्यों जल्दी करो? Are you getting it?
Yeah, ऐसे
If
होते
there
हैं.
is an incentive, he will do it. Otherwise, he will say कि सर, I mean, I have given you the promise 1 year. 1 year में करेंगे ना, हमने कब ना बोला? Correct? So that's where incentives are various. And then there is something called as a fixed price with a economic price adjustment. You know, typically long-term contracts are having, relation with the dollar or the currency rate. Correct, friends? 3 year contract में dollar rate कम या ज्यादा होने से one of the party could benefit and one of the party will get penalized. Correct, friends? Niranjan, correct? Raj, are you there with us?
Yes, yes, Sanjay. I mean, Raj is not there, I believe.
Oh, he is not visible. Okay. Yes, Swati, Vishakha. Multi-year contract,
Yeah.
when they are there, it becomes a problem, Swati, correct? Because dollar
Yes.
rate, if it appreciates beyond certain limit, or if it depreciates beyond certain limit, it is a problem for one of those two. Correct, Swati?
Yes, yes.
So there are contracts. We say that, as long as the dollar rate is well within 82 to 86, INR per dollar, this will be valid, and beyond that, we'll go ahead either or renegotiate, or there could be a formula saying that this formula will be used for that. That's the way in which you need to do it. Sometimes these contracts are also linked to the commodity related rates. Civil contracts they will go ahead and say that this is the total thing will do as long as the cement is so many rupees per metric ton. If cement become expensive more than this, the rates will change because these 5-year contract में सीमेंट का रेट आफ्टर 3 year क्या होगा किसको मालूम है. It changes on a daily basis. Correct? Yes, friends, correct na? And that's what is called as fixed price with economic price adjustment. So this is all under the subtype called as a fixed price. Now coming to the next one, CR. This is not T&M, Kuldeep. This is not time and material. This is one thing which is in between. So cost reimbursable. In cost reimbursable, vendor will go ahead and spend the money and keep all the invoices and bills, whatever he is spending on your behalf. Give that back to you at the end of the project and you will reimburse it. It's called as cost reimbursable. Cost will be incurred, it will be reimbursed. Now there are some subtypes there. First one is cost plus fixed fee. So whatever material, whatever labor I will require for that, I will spend it on your behalf. Keep all the invoices. You do the proper auditing of that invoice. Pay me that plus $1,000 as my services. This is cost plus fixed fee. This is my fixed fee, which I will charge over and above actual expenses. When do you think this will be useful?
When maybe in cases where we don't know what the scope is, so at least we know there's a problem. So to look into the problem, we can charge this much, and then we let you know कि scope कितना बड़ा है, फिर उस हिसाब से आगे की cost.
करेंगे, exactly, because it is evolving. Correct, Maria?
Yeah.
Particularly, what happens is that if you want to establish a new office in some new, whatever area, city or new geography. Now, what happens? Vendor को भी नहीं माल रहा है इतना पे. I mean, there are so many very funny deals, Maria. You need to pay so much to the local leader. कुछ तो भी बहुत सारा करना पड़ता है. Now, becomes very difficult to give any commitment. So they said that कि जो कुछ भी होगा, I will ask you, वो पैसा दे देंगे. Finally, मेरा rate इतना है. That's what is cost plus fixed fee. That's what is is the one type of thing. There is obviously this could be converted as cost plus incentive. If I do it faster, I will get more money. Correct? Yes, Swati, any question?
No.
And then comes cost plus award. अब ये जो है ना, ये थोड़ा सा odd type है, friends. Don't even think that in real life you will ever get an opportunity to see this type of contract. What is award contract is basically, it is not incentive. Incentive is very clearly documented in the contract that if I complete it so many weeks ahead or so many, I will pay you so much. That's the type of incentive which is there. If if the vendor completes it as per that incentive, and if you deny to pay him the incentive, he can pull you into the court. Incentive is something which is documented very clearly. Not paying that is a crime. The customer could be pulled into the court. But against that, award fee or cost plus award, CPAF, this is a type where they say that it is completely based on subjective evaluation by the buyer. If you read that whole text into the PMBOK when you will be reading, they say that it's a subjective evaluation of the buyer about the performance of the seller. What does it mean is that it is, if he is happy, if he says that I am happy, that award he will give. And if he doesn't give that award, he is not liable to give you an answer why is he not giving. He might say कि मैं खुश नहीं हूँ. That's it. So in common Hindi term, this is called as ये इतना पैसा है, ऊपर आप जो खुशी से देना है दे दो. वो खुशी से देना वाला जो है, that is called as cost plus award fees. I don't think in the commercial term they will ever keep this type of conditions there. But this is just one of the type which is explained. So try to understand. You might get one question about it. So try to understand the difference between incentive and award. Incentive is documented thing, and you are liable to give it to you, whether you are happy or not. Award is subject to the happiness of the buyer. If he is not happy, without giving any reason, he can deny to give you the award. So that's what are the two differences there. Now comes time and material. So in time and material, straightway the rate is agreed. For example, per person, I will charge you 4,000 INR per day. Then we'll give you the laptop. For each laptop, your company will use from us. We'll charge you 50,000 per month. These are the rates which are already agreed. At the end of the thing, go ahead. Our people were there for 20 days, 20 into this. They use the laptop for 20 days, 20 into 50 divided by 30. This is the total bill. That's called as time and material. The rates are already agreed. You need to do that. That's what is called as time and material. Particularly when you are not clear about the scope is evolving, then you acquire those resources on time and material. Vendor's responsibility here is to limit to provide those resources. They will make it available. That guy will be visible on 9 a.m. on that Monday morning. That person will be available. अब उससे वो पूरा दिन कॉफी पिएगा तो भी you will have to pay 4,000 per day. That is your headache now. It is not vendors. He has not taken fixed price deal. He has taken it as a time and material. So the moment that person comes there, his meter is on. You need to use him there. That's all. He is very much liable to ensure that the person he sends is fitting to the criteria. You need to give criteria. He should have 3 years experience. I will give him the test. He should pass the test. जो लिखना आप लिख दो, but once it is there, it is your response. That's called as a time and material. Difference between time and material, Kuldeep, and cost reimbursable. In these two, there is a difference. Remember, if you are going to provide manpower, Kuldeep, are you listening to me?
Yes, sir.
If
Yes.
if I run a company and Kuldeep is my employee, and I am going to give Kuldeep services to some company, I will go ahead and say Kuldeep is a very expert project manager. 10,000 INR per day से मैं charge करूंगा. Okay, Kuldeep goes there, work for 20 days. I make a bill for 2 lakhs rupees at the month end, and that's it. This is called as time and material, Kuldeep. Correct?
Okay.
But if I do it as a CR, रिमेंबर इसमें क्या होता है, इसमें कैच तूने देखा है क्या? आई डोंट पे 2 lakhs rupees to Kuldeep as a salary. Did you notice that? This is a rate agreed.
हम्म.
मैं शायद इस बंदे को 80,000 ही दे दूं पर मंथ.
हाँ हाँ.
कल जाके कस्टमर मेरे को ये नहीं हुआ तुमने तो उसको 80,000 दिया, मेरे को 2 लाख क्यों चार्ज किया तुमने? नो, दैट्स अ रेट एग्रीड. दैट्स टाइम एंड मटेरियल. करेक्ट?
Right.
नाउ इफ आई डू इट ऑन CR, I will have to take pay slip of Kuldeep and give it to them. They will और ऊपर प्लस लगा सकते हैं तू जो कुछ भी है.
हम्म.
यहाँ पे when you are saying 50,000 rupees for a laptop per month, that does not mean that's the cost of it. It is what I am charging it to them.
Rental उसका sort of.
हाँ, वो रेंटल है वो. While in CR it is actual cost reimbursable.
Okay.
So cost reimbursable अपने यहाँ पे बहुत ज्यादा यूज नहीं होता है. T&M बहुत commonly यूज होता है. Correct? But you are absolutely right. When scope is unclear, then fixed price when you don't take, you have these two options: cost reimbursable and time and material.
बराबर सर.
So where to use which is your choice. That's what they are saying. Correct, friends? Everyone understood? एक हाथ क्वेश्चन आया है उस पे कुलदीप?
हाँ सर, मैंने निकाल के रखा है.
देखना है क्विकली, एक देखेंगे.
हाँ बराबर है सर.
तो स्टॉप शेयर करता हूं मैं. लेट्स सी व्हाट Kuldeep is offering us. Here are the contracts. Yes. So pharmaceutical company is initiating groundbreaking R&D project for a new drug. The scope of the work is highly uncertain. The technology is nascent and exact deliverables will evolve significantly based on early research finding. The company wants to incentivize the vendor to achieve the specific aggressive performance milestone related to drug NPA. Which of the type is useful? A, B, C, D. Maria, I'm sure by now you would have zeroed down. Looks like Kuldeep is highlighting C.
That is right, sir.
Yes, everyone else, you agree? Rahul?
He is right.
Pawan?
Yeah, Sanjay. See,
See, right, है ना? See, there are aggressive timeline you want to incentivize so that he also does it as per the milestone and all that thing. So best thing is cost plus. Fixed price is out of question here because he is very clearly saying the whole scope is going to evolve with the thing. So fixed price, is vendor may not take, and even if he takes, it becomes unmanageable later. So the best one is, out of these. So fixed price is gone. Now becomes cost plus or fixed price. Fixed price with incentive is also not possible here. Cost plus because the work is also evolving here. Because fixed price would be there if you know the work very clearly. So incentive is essential. Now the question is between C and D. Because work is evolving, C is the choice. So D is not the, yeah. Second one देखेंगे and then we'll proceed.
तो सर वी आर गोइंग फॉर 3, राइट?
हाँ, 1C, correct.
सर ये सेकंड क्यों नहीं होगा? मुझे थोड़ा सा
हाँ,
पसंद
cost
नहीं
plus percentage of the cost, correct?
हम्म
कॉस्ट कहां से निकालेगा? दे देमसेल्फ आर नॉट वेरी क्लियर व्हाट इज टू बी डन, है ना?
हाँ
वर्क इज
एग्जैक्टली
इवॉल्विंग, है ना?
ठीक है। हाँ एवरीथिंग
वर्क
इज
इज
इवॉल्विंग।
हाईली अनसर्टन, टेक्नोलॉजी इज नेसेंट एंड एग्जैक्ट डिलीवर विल इवॉल्व विद द टाइम. अब कहाँ लाओगे आप? आपके पास कुछ नहीं है इसमें से.
ठीक है सर, ओके।
तो दैट्स वेयर इट इज
मैं
ऑलवेज
एक बार इसका आंसर रिकॉर्ड कर लेता हूँ सर।
हाँ, 1C है, 1C.
ठीक है, ठीक है।
देन कम 2, विल ट्राई दिस. अच्छा, इसमें जो ऑप्शन सेम है, सिनेरियो चेंजिंग. Procure the standard off the shelf software package
सर कौन सा
that
पढ़
has
रहे हो आप?
well-defined features and
सर
clear implementation.
ये वाला पढ़ रहे हो ना आप?
हाँ, correct.
अच्छा
So, well-defined feature and clear implementation process. However, due to the recent market volatility and fluctuating material cost for the hardware component required for the installation, the vendor is hesitant to commit to a purely fixed price over the anticipation of 18 months project duration. Both the party want to optimize the risk.
मिनिमाइज करें।
Yes, what do you
B.
think is there?
B.
Fixed price with economic price.
It is
Correct?
fine.
Fixed
Yeah.
price का ही केस है वो, सीधा सीधा. But both of them are worried कि 18 में नीचे ऊपर हो जाए, क्या करेंगे? So this B is the better choice here. So 2 is B. 1C 2B डाल के देख. Let's proceed with the thing. देखा कितने सारे questions है. So there are a lot of questions. You'll realize 1C 2B. B for beta. हाँ. 1C 2B, correct. So that's
सर
what
बी, ये बी फॉर बेटा पहली बार सुना है। तो बी फॉर मोमो सुना था अभी तक।
नहीं, बीटा बोला मैं.
अच्छा बीटा, अच्छा सॉरी। पर बेटा
नॉर्मली
भी।
इन द ट्रेवे बिकॉज ये अल्फा, इसका ए बी वाला कंफ्यूजन है, तो हम लोग वो अल्फा बीटा चार्ली एंड डेल्टा बोलते हैं.
ओके ओके।
अल्फा बीटा चार्ली एंड डेल्टा, सो ए बी
हाँ,
सी ऐसा है. तो
ठीक है सर,
बट बी
ओके।
फॉर बेटा भी कुछ बुरा नहीं है कुलदीप. हम
हाँ
लोग हम लोग भी अपना ये रखना चाहिए.
हाँ, हिंदी लवर भी खुश हो जाएंगे।
चलो, लेट
आजकल
मी शेयर ब्रैक.
आजकल कन्नड़ में बोल रहे हैं और
हाँ, ऑब्वियसली कन्नड़ में बोले तो फिर हम लोग भी बेटा
वाले
बेटा को
कन्नड़
बेटा
बोल
बोलेंगे.
मराठी में।
या 10:36 ये
वो
प्रोसेस
फिर
खत्म
डिलीवरी
कर
करके
लेंगे
आते हैं
एंड
सर।
देन विल टेक अ स्मॉल ब्रेक. इज दैट ओके?
ओके या
So these are the 3 type of things. Certainly you will get some question on this. Then comes obviously tools and technique. Expert judgment. Obviously you need to be an expert to raise the right, choosing the right of a contract, what to outsource, what to do in house. All that needs an expertise there. While doing that, you need to gather the data. A lot of Google you will have to do it. Are there vendors available for this? What are the typical things? Market research. A lot of market research will be required. When you are doing this decision related to make or buy, you need to do enough analysis, which will include, IPR, security and IPR. Remember, if you are having a very stringent security and IPR requirement, you cannot outsource that work. You have to do it in-house only. Correct, friends? How is that related? Security and IPR. What is IPR?
इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टीज, आई डोंट नो।
Intellectual property rights. They call it as IPR is intellectual property rights. So basically, once you go ahead and create some if you have created some software for someone, you sold it to him as a as a thing, and he paid you. Now, can you reuse that somewhere, or can you actually use it and sell it somewhere else? That's called as IPR. Who owns the the intellectual property rights is what is there. So if they are having too stringent security and IPR required, don't outsource it, because then it will become very difficult to control. So all those things you need to do it, and finally decide what you want to make in-house and what you want to outsource. Source selection analysis, you need to do multiple things there. And one of the commonly used criteria for these buyings are least cost. Sometimes if it is a commodity, if you say that I want Neel Kamal chair number model such and such, Neel Kamal chair model 452C, if that's there, then least cost, जो सबसे सस्ता देगा, because everything is now fixed there. Qualified vendors only, only the vendors which are from our approved list. Sometimes vendors are also given ABC category. A category vendor, B category vendor, C category vendor, and the project manager also might go ahead and say then that for selecting the vendor, only take the vendor who are in A or B category. Don't take C category vendors, which means they are at the lower end in the approval. Then highest technical proposal. There are two type of proposals which are there. Something called as a technical proposal and commercial proposal. Very often these are separated. Same vendor who is going to give you the offer, he will give you two envelopes. One envelope will be thick one. It is called as a technical proposal of the work, and a small envelope along with that, that will be called as a commercial proposal. And this is separately sealed. Have you heard about this practice?
हाँ सर, कितना पैसा वो लेगा और काम
That
कितना
is in
करेगा।
another envelope.
यस, पैसा
And
वाला लग जाता है।
हाँ, और टेक्निकल वाला जो है वो बड़ा डी ये रहता है. Why is that, by the way? Yes, Rahul.
सर वो अलग अलग अप्रूवल के लिए जाता है अंदर भी, टीम्स के लिए कई बार।
हाँ, correct. Yes.
Technical details will be
Shishir,
approved by
Swati.
technical person and commercial.
Yes, Rahul.
Technical details will be approved by technical person and commercial details will be reviewed and approved by a procurement person.
Very often, Rahul, it is so much that that technical proposal will be given to a panel of technical guys, people like you and me who are working on ground. But there are no cost details known to us. Sometimes, Rahul, their practice is that the vendor's name is also not known to you. You need to evaluate and say this is the best proposal. Don't really worry about what is the cost, who is the vendor. That will not be known to you. Sometimes vendor might be knowing, but cost is not known. And those envelopes are kept into some sealed locker. And once the technical proposal gets, let's say out of the 10, 3 technical proposals are right, only for those 3, those commercial things will be opened, which are available with the appropriate organization heads there. Correct, Rahul?
Yes.
That's the reason for which technical and commercial are quite often kept separate there. Quality and cost based, sometimes it's a sole source. You don't have any other option. Whether you like it or not, purchasing process becomes very simple. Correct, friends? With sole source, purchasing process becomes very simple. Why?
Because we have only one port and there is no any other competitor.
जाके खरीदना ही पड़ेगा. माइक्रोसॉफ्ट ऑफिस तू किसी से खरीद नहीं सकता राहुल. माइक्रोसॉफ्ट के पास से ही खरीदना पड़ेगा तेरे को. करेक्ट. So that's what is sole source. There is absolutely, you don't have, at most some negotiations you might do, but otherwise it's a sole source. Sometimes there is a budget fixed and whatever fitting into that budget, you go ahead and restrict yourself to that. Then comes meetings are obviously required while doing these things. Then comes procurement management plan, which is an output of this. And there is one more thing called as procurement strategy. See, what type of contracts are you going to use? That is documented there. For what type of, only A or B level of vendors will be accepted here. The vendors with so many, these type of decisions are done there. For the type of contract, professional services could be outsourced as no subcon, with subcon, joint venture there. No subcon means, the vendor who takes the contract will have to do it in his office only. He can't go ahead and find another third party to do that. Those type of conditions are sometimes there. For construction, these are the words. Just try to remember those words, nothing to understand about it. Turnkey, design, bid, and build, and so on. Then comes type of contracts. For the type fixed price cost plus which type of contracts will be used in this particular project. That's what is procurement strategy saying. And definition of standard procurement cycle with the phases, So for example, requisitions will be raised within, first 8 days. Then the purchase orders, then the tender will be published there and we'll wait for 15 days or 7 offers till the time it comes. So exit criteria. And then within 18 days, there would be a negotiation. Then PO will be given within a week, work to be completed within 3 months. So those timelines and all that thing are documented in procurement strategy. And then there is a bid document. As I told you, all the documents what finally your company will issue it to the prospect vendors are called as bid documents. And there are three of them: RFI, request for information, which is we as an organization are wondering or thinking of doing something like that. Please give us the information about how would you do it. Remember, it's a RFI. Prospect vendors will submit that thing. You take that information from them and send them a thanks mail, and deal is done. Nothing more is done after that. It's RFI. There is no deal which will be finalized. It is only information. Now you said if that's the thanks letter, why are vendors coming? Because obviously there is a hope that once that information is there, sooner or later you might go and decide it to outsource. So in that sense, vendors are interested. So for RFI, they will do it. Now after RFI, there are two choices. One is RFQ or RFP. RFQ for called as request for quotation, where you are very clearly knowing what is to be done. You say, this is what I want to do. Please give me a quote. Request for quote, which means how much are you going to charge? I know what I want very clearly. You tell me how much you are going to charge. On the other hand, RFP is where you are giving them also a choice to take different approaches. He might come back and say, I will use this type of material, this type of thing. I will give you 3 months of after sales support and all that. And this is my cost. So request for proposal, you are giving more choice to the vendor. In request for quotation, you are not giving. RFI is only for taking the information. So these are the three type of documents there.
सर क्वेश्चन है एक,
हाँ
ये आरएफपी वाला प्रोसेस मैंने देखा है और इट समटाइम्स इट्स वेरी कॉम्प्लिकेटेड.
हाँ ऑब्वियसली
वो महीनों चलता है, बट
हाँ
डू वेंडर्स गेट पेड फॉर पार्टिसिपेटिंग इन आरएफपी?
RFP में तो नहीं, नहीं RFI में भी नहीं मिलता है. इफ यू गेट द PO देन ओनली यू गेट इट फुल्ली.
क्योंकि वेंडर्स दे स्पेंड ह्यूज टाइम इन डूइंग आरएफपी, रेस्पोंडिंग टू आरएफपी,
करेक्ट
आरएफआई, उनका पूरा टीम लगता है, तब वो एक आरएफपी पे रिप्लाई होता है. तो मैं
हाँ कभी
तो
कभी
मुझे
200 पेज वाला प्रपोजल बनाना पड़ता है. करेक्ट
हाँ सर, वो महीनों चलता है वो पूरा
महीनों
प्रपोजल
चलता है. अब इसी में कुलदीप, इन द फाइनेंशियल टर्म दे कॉल इट एज SGNA. यू हर्ड दिस?
नो.
कॉस्टिंग वाला कोई है? फाइनेंस वाला? सेल्स एंड जनरल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन एक्सपेंसेस, ये मालूम है ना, इसमें होता है सब ओवरहेड्स में. दे कॉल इट एज सेल्स एंड जनरल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन एक्सपेंसेस. करेक्ट. सो ऑल द कंसल्टिंग कंपनीज, ह्यूज मनी इज डेडिकेटेड फॉर सेल्स. प्रीसेल्स वाली टीम होती है कुलदीप, है ना.
हाँ सेल्स वाला तो रहता है.
उसकी सैलरी उसी चीज के लिए है. And in that situation, Kuldeep, it is not at all a surprise if the hit ratio is just 10%. Which means when he works on to 10 proposals, only one out of them will come as a thing.
करेक्ट.
और ऐसा होता है ना, कंसल्टिंग कंपनी को करना पड़ता है ऐसा. करेक्ट.
तो उसका कॉस्ट जो भी 3 महीने उनका कॉस्ट लगाते हैं वो सब उसमें जोड़ देते रहेंगे बाद में.
वैसे नहीं करते वो, बट इनका जो है ना टोटल इट इज ट्रीटेड एज एन ओवरहेड, एंड फॉर ऑल द प्रोजेक्ट्स विच विल कम, वो जो वन प्रोजेक्ट आएगा उस पे के ओवरहेड में ये सब चला जाता है.
ओके,
That's
जो
how
भी
it
उन्होंने
works.
मेहनत किया है जो भी.
Obviously that will, all that thing will come as an, they call it as the indirect expenses. These are indirect expenses. Correct.
बराबर है.
So that's how it is there. Sales and general administration expenses. So very common. Procurement statement of work. As I told you, what do you want? Specification. What is the quality result? How much is the quantity? What is the performance data? You want, sometimes they say that along with the material supplied, you will also give me the whatever inspection report, or sometimes a third party approval report. वो सब मांगते वो लोग. period of performance, when should this work be completed, where will you work, will you work into our office, your office, can you work from on-site, near shore, offshore, all those things. Then terms of references, expected task by the contractor, if there are any applicable standard to be followed by him. Then data expectation with the proposal. Did you notice past experience, competency data? Have you seen working on a proposal where they said, please, give me the resumes of critical resources from your company? Have you seen that?
Yes.
ऐसा आता है ना, requirement मारिया कभी कभी.
Yes.
So that's why. Why is that? It is because vendor is trying to be, the customer is trying to be assured, saying that yes, he really has, the staff which would be able to fulfill the thing if I give purchase order to him. So those
Yeah.
are very common things. Then past case studies देना पड़ता
आरएफपी के साथ जाता है सर वो।
है. बहुत बार होता है कुलदीप. So then detailed list of all items to be delivered as a part of service. So all that thing you should go ahead and write. Bidding process timeline, by the way. If a vendor asks the customer, saying, "Okay, can you please tell me when are you going to take final decision, yes or no?" Remember, friend, it's not a crime. It is their right to understand that. You need to tell them, say, "Okay, we are working on this. By so many days, proposals will come. In so many days, we will take the decision. And by the 31st of March, we are going to finalize it." He has a right to know. It does not mean he will get that purchase order, but he has a right to know what is the timeline. So that's what is there. They very clearly say it is also given in the procurement statement of work by when it will be cleared. Source selection criteria, as I told you, sometimes you need to go ahead and say so much of turnover. You should have at least 200 people. You should have at least a category vendor. All those things are criteria. Remember, we are still in plan procurement, by the way. We are in the first process called as plan procurement, which means it is still project manager who is saying. And project manager need to tell what are the criteria the purchase department should apply to select the vendor. He will not tell who is the vendor, but you can say these are the criteria he should be there. So it is your responsibility. International specific condition, so you should take it only from the vendors who are having their prime office here. Otherwise, some company in Dubai might go ahead and say that I have a partner in India. Unko de do. You might say that no, we don't want to give it. We have to give it to only people who are having their own office in my city. Those type of things. These are all, done there. One more output, make or buy decision. We spoke about it. Independent cost estimate. Sometimes if your company and you people are new to this whole process, if you have not done this type of thing, it is possible that you might involve a third party and ask them to give a third party estimate of this work. Remember that that party is not going to come up and become another bidder there. He cannot go ahead and. So, for example, if I am going to do certain system development and I am not expert into that, so what I will do, I will catch hold of someone expert and say, independent study karke tell how much is the cost. I will use that particular thing as a baseline. If that vendor says that I think this should be done in 40 lakhs. Remember, that guy cannot be another person who bids it there. That 40 lakhs I will use for evaluating another A, B, and C, three vendors there. So that's what is called as independent cost estimate. Very commonly, these things are done when you are not good at it. And sometimes change requests. Make or buy decisions will go ahead and introduce certain changes as well. So make or buy decisions are and changes there. So that was, this whole process called as plan procurement. What we have seen is this thing called as a plan procurement. We need to see conduct procurement, control procurement, and as I told you, the stakeholder. But I think as we have followed a good practice, a pause of 5 minutes, comfort break, and then we'll meet. Is that okay?
Okay, sir.
I will go ahead and put the timer. So in the plan procurement, we have raised the PR. It's a project manager intensive process who has specified what do you want, what services you want, any documentation, anything in proposal, specific source selection criteria, all that thing you have raised. And now it jumps into the central purchase department's lap where they start doing this process called as conduct procurement. Basically, they will go ahead and publish whatever you have said as a requirement into the market and get multiple vendors, responses onto that. Those could be in the form of RFI, RFP. They will, customer will, the vendors will give you RFQ based on what you have asked. Then they will go ahead and do the negotiation and do the selection of the vendor and finally award the contract. So that's what it is there. The contract is what is a legal formality between vendor and the customer, because that's what is essential. Without that, vendor cannot start, doing the work. So that's what is this they do. These are the inputs which are well known to us. Procurement documentation, which was output of the prior one. This is a new, input called as seller proposal. The moment you give the requisition and, float it to all the prospect vendors there, obviously they will start responding, the thing. That they are, as they are saying, a separate technical approach and the price, if it is kept separate, it is always good. So that, there is no confusion around that. These proposals then will be used, using the source selection criteria. As I told you, in source selection criteria, you need to tell saying that, this is a very technically challenging thing. So technical ability of the vendor will have 40% weightage. Then his office proximity, how close is his office from our thing, would have 10% weightage. Then cost will have 20% weight. These weightages are there in source selection criteria. Now, what the central purchase department will do, they will take all the proposal, apply these weightages there and say that this looks to be the best one on your criteria. Giving these criteria and weightages is your responsibility. It is a responsibility of the person who is raising the requisition. In some other situation, cost could have 50% weightage, because I'm not worried much about the technical part of it. It is standard, but the cost is more important. So these criteria, what are the criteria and what is the weightage, should be given by the requisition, and that's called as the source selection criteria. Now, using this criteria, they will evaluate the seller's proposal and some EFs which are available, local laws, external economical environment, and so on and so forth. List of preferred sellers, there is always a standard sellers list, approved list of the vendors. With sometimes, they also have a rating. As I told you in Mahindra's when I was there, we used to have A, B, C category of vendors, on basis of their past performance, their timeliness, their size and all that thing. We used to call some vendors as A category vendor, B category vendor, C category vendor, all approved by the way, within approved A, B and C. So if they are available in your company, good, you might be able to probably choose a good vendor. Their organizational policy for selection of the seller, as I told you, at least a panel of 3 people. Those policies are also there, templates are there, and there are procedures related to invoicing and payment. Account payable, finally, which are there. These are all the OPAs you will be using for conducting the procurement. Central purchase departments are expert in terms of doing the negotiation, advertisement, finding the vendors, discussion with them, and so on and so forth. So that's what is expertise. Advertisement, sometimes you need to publish it in the local newspaper, sometimes onto the internet thing. Sometimes, the tenders are also floated onto organizations web portal, on their own website only. There could be one link called as for the prospect vendors, and if you click, these are all the available opportunities for you to bid. So advertisement in whichever way. Bidder conference is a very specific format where if there is a huge large thing, Kuldeep, as we are saying, sometimes the proposal and all the thing is very large, some 200 pages requisition, the requirement itself is floated up, and which has whatever 200 pages now. So all the vendors will read that and they will make their own sense out of it, and they will give the proposal on the basis of that. There could be a lot of ambiguity around it. Some vendors might go ahead and say that I will do it in 10 lakhs. The other vendor might come back and he said that I will charge you 12 lakhs. You thought that this 12 lakhs is expensive, 10 lakhs is cheap. You went ahead and gave that contract to this guy. He took the contract and said, okay, sir, can you please send me all the laptops to me? I want to start the work. You might say, what do you mean by that? He said that, sir, I have given you labor contract for 10 lakhs. Now this guy with 12 lakhs, he was thinking that I am going to use my infrastructure. This guy was under an impression that I am not going to use my infrastructure. Now there is a problem. So how do we resolve this type of ambiguities? One of the thing for that is bidder conference. In bidder conference, they float that big tender document, say that for next 1 week, you read it carefully, and after 1 week on the next Monday in our office, there is a bidder conference, which means all your representative, technical person, the purchase person, all that, let them come. Our, purchase department will be there. They will, what they do is that in that 8 days of time, all the vendors will send their own queries and questions to the prospect customer. And that prospect customer will read each of the questions sent by all the vendors loudly in front of everyone. So he might say that, measure so and so, they have said that who will provide the infrastructure. And loudly the answer is that it will be used by yours. Some other vendor might say that, can we go ahead and use some third party tool for integrating with that? And our answer to that is yes, you can do it. That's how loudly all the questions are answered. At the end of it, they said, do you have any other question also? If there are any, they will ask it. And the moment that whole bidder conference is done, that now you go ahead and make the final proposal, and within whatever, 5 days, come back to me. By Friday, come back and give us the final proposal. Now, with bidder conference, what will happen? Everyone will be on the same page. All the vendors will. So you are also at benefit. Otherwise that 10 lakh less than 12 lakhs wala confusion, you also could get into the trap. So bidder conference are meant for that. So that's what it is done. Data analysis, once the proposals are there, you'll have to use those predetermined weightages. As I told you, sometimes cost might have a 50% weight. Sometimes cost could be 20%, safety could be 60%, because that product safety is more important. Cost doesn't matter really. So weightages could change there. And then comes interpersonal and team skills. As doing procurement needs a lot of proper negotiations, and negotiations will need interpersonal and team skills. It's not everyone's cup of tea. Remember, on negotiations, particular negotiation with vendor, you might get some questions there. The purpose, remember, is not to squeeze the vendor as much possible. That's not the thing. The official purpose of negotiation is to reach something called as a win-win situation, which means vendor should also get the good deal and you should also get the good deal. And that's also, you should be very ready, saying that what is the thing which I don't want to give up. I will not compromise on these parameters, and I am ready to, negotiate on this. So if it is there, win-win situation could actually come there. So negotiations, again, people related questions could come. And at the end of this, such a negotiation, the contract will be given. Output, selected sellers, who is the vendor or vendors. If it is a multiple huge scope, there will be multiple vendor as a part of this selection there. And then obviously the agreement with the vendor. The contract, as I told you, it's a legal contract which you need to do. All need to have, subject to remedy in court. So their major component are procurement statement of work and major deliverables. What is the timeline expected? What is the date when it is to be done? Pricing and payment terms. Who will pay the taxes? So on. Are there any incentives? Are there any penalties associated? How will the final goods and services will be inspected? Inspection, quality, acceptance criteria. Do you expect any post go live warranty or some support? Write everything very clearly in the agreement. Don't keep anything for assumption, because this is an external third party thing. It is not, you can't simply say that, sorry, I forgot to include it, because that doesn't work. It has to be signed by both. So process of handling the changes, if there are changes, what process will be followed there? Termination clause, what will be the situation in which it will be treated as, yes, this contract stands to be terminated. That's what need to be done. Alternative dispute resolution, as I told you, in the first level of negotiations, if you are not able to reach a consensus between vendor and the customer, what is the alternative resolution which will be used there? And sometimes change request. And then there are control procurement, to ensure that the vendor and the buyer fulfill the terms as agreed in the contract. Track the procurement relationship. If you want to see it into the larger picture, we are speaking about this now, control procurement. So track the procurement relationship, make the changes in the contract if needed, close the contracts once they are delivered. This is a very important step, friends. Close the contract. Once all the deliverers, they have given all your payables, you have approved their invoices there, you need to close it, saying that this PO from my side is now completed. So that even eventually your project gets over, if that supplier comes back and raises some doubt about it, it should not be the case. Closing need to be done properly at the vendor end. The project team need to be aware of legal complication. We spoke about it at length. This process has activities to be played by the team outside the team, particularly the finance team comes into the picture here for the payment. So there are third parties which, so, you need to be understood and it should be integrated. Once you approve the services or goods, the invoice will be treated as an approved, and then based on the standard payment conditions and aging, the payment will be initiated. Process of procurement should be kept in control by appropriate reviews and audits. So there is an important aspect called as a reviews and audit, because as you know, it is all matter of money. So a lot of malpractices could happen there. So a proper audit will have to be done there. Payment to the vendors should be done as per the agreed milestone. Payment must be linked to the delivery of services. Typically, what this statement is saying, don't say that after 1 month we'll pay so much, after 3 months we'll pay so much. That after the end of design we'll pay you so much. After the first cut of the testing, will link it to the deliverable. Don't link only to the timeline, so that it's not that you are paying and then you are exposed in terms of finances there. And contract changes, whenever it is there, has to be done mutual understanding. Remember, when we say something as a contract, it could be changed only by agreement by both those parties who have signed it. So it cannot be done unilaterally by anyone. You can't say that we are the customer, we will change whatever we want. You can't do it that way. And then this should be done in line with the change control clause in the contract. All of you people, when you are giving proposal to your customer, I am sure you also would be having a clause called as change control. Do you have that in your standard proposal format? Change management, how do you handle it? Do you have something like that in your, when you are giving proposal? Yes, Pawan.
Yes, Sanjay. I think
It's
we
very
do have.
common, is it? Yeah,
Yes,
so,
yes.
and that same thing is applicable for your vendor as well, Pawan, correct?
Yes, yes.
So
This is on
when
mutual
you are
understanding.
someone's vendor, that is applicable. Your vendor will expect same thing coming from you as well. So that's what is this
Yes.
referring to. Inputs are known, all well known to us. Contract change control system. There are contract change control systems and ERP systems very often. You know that. I mean, tomorrow, if you want to go ahead and make even a small change, a line to be changed into the purchase order, you cannot go ahead and change that Word document, or you cannot send it on the mail saying that do this. There has to be done in through the same ERP system. You know that, na? I mean,
नहीं सर मुझे नहीं मालूम था.
see, Kuldeep, क्या होता है कि let's say, now this I am giving you an example which is not very similar to the software industry, but जैसे हम लोग when we used to, we used to call some material from the vendors. तो vendor ना corrugated box रहते वो. Those are boxes which are related to. So he used to pack it into that and send it. So once upon a time, it so happened that that due to such a rainy season and all that thing, by the time it actually transported to our factory, it started catching the rust. So it became a nightmare for us. Now our requirement was that now he need to put it into corrugated box, but before that inside he should keep a polyethylene bag. In plastic bag में डाल के फिर corrugated box में डाल. Now you can't simply send this to a vendor in a mail, कुलदीप, कि next time से लॉट से उसको प्लास्टिक में भी डाल दे करके. तेरे को PO चेंज करना पड़ता है. You need to raise a purchase order amendment number 1, and in that amendment number 1, it is written that it was read earlier as the corrugated box with such and such thing, and now it should be read as corrugated, covered into the polyethylene bag with corrugated box, Earlier, the price was, whatever, 15 rupees and 75 paisa. And now new the cost will be 16 rupees and 15 paisa. ये पूरा फॉर्मल वो प्रिंट करके देते थे हम लोग इन दोस डेज. दो nowadays it will be a softer copy, but this is how you need to make the changes. You can't simply pick up a phone and say that कि कल से ऐसा चालू कर. Are you getting this one पैसे वाला डिफरेंस वो वेंडर के लिए हजारों का फर्क हो जाता है. करेक्ट.
ठीक है, ओके.
So that's what he is trying to say. You can't simply see, Kuldeep, if you want to translate it into our terminology, you actually raise the thing saying that, I want the people who are having at least 5 years of experience. वो 5 year experience वाला wage, I mean, he started sending it to you. Okay. 10 लोग आए, उसमें से 2 लोग they were not able to even perform the work. Correct?
ओके.
Now what happened, Kuldeep? You said कि यार next time जब आएगा ना तो मैं तेरे इनको एक टेस्ट दे दूंगा. ये टेस्ट पास करेंगे तो इसको पैसा दूंगा, नहीं तो मैं इसको नहीं रोकूंगा. आई विल सेंड हिम बैक देयर. वेरी जेन्युइन थिंग फ्रॉम योर साइड, कुलदीप.
हाँ, बरोबर है.
तूने 3 लोग भेज दिया, बोला सर आपने बोला था 5 साल चाहिए, 5 साल एक्सपीरियंस है, आप रिजेक्ट कैसे कर रहा? हाउ कैन यू डू दैट? विल हैव टू मेक अ चेंज इन पीओ सेइंग दैट आई विल, यू नीड टू सेंड द 5 year एक्सपीरियंस पीपल, वी विल डू द टेस्ट एंड इफ वी अप्रूव देन ओनली इट विल. ये करना पड़ेगा ना, अदरवाइज सी इफ इट इज अ वेरी स्मॉल वेंडर वो तो सुनेगा तेरी, कुलदीप. बट बड़ा कंपनी रहे वो नहीं सुनेगा. करेक्ट.
ठीक है सर.
So you will have to follow that process. These are the systems there which allow you to make the changes into the contract. Financial management, and mostly Kuldeep, whosoever is the person who has approved the original contract, that same guy need to approve the change as well. Correct? Na? That's always there. Financial management and account payable systems. Account payable systems are obviously finally going to give the payments. Buying organizations code of ethics, it's always there. Very commonly all the companies do have their code of ethics applicable for the procurement. I mean, आप लोगों ने देखा है क्या? I mean, have you got that sometime from your customer and all that thing? वो आता है ना, you will never give the gift more than this, you will not do all that thing, वो types कुछ देखा है आपने?
हाँ, देखा है सर.
ऐसा रहता है वो. It's very common.
गिफ्टिंग पॉलिसी रहता है.
हाँ, वो पॉलिसी रहती है कि वो यू कैनॉट गो अहेड एंड कॉम्प्रोमाइज ऑन दैट. Tools are expert judgment, obviously, you as a project manager, and claims administration. This is what I was saying. If there are two parties not agreeing to each other, they're called as a claim or dispute. I use the word dispute that time. It's called as dispute, which means, the vendor says this is in scope and customer says, no, this is not in scope, or other way around, that's what is there. If that is there, this is called as a claim or dispute. If it cannot be resolved by them, it should be done as agreed in the contract. In the contract, there is an ADR, alternative dispute resolution I spoke about, and litigation, which means, so those 3 levels. But the very first thing, negotiating. Negotiate with them and agree to something which is agreeable. Don't land into ADR or litigation. That's what they say. Once all the vendor completes his deals, he has given all the thing, you need to do certain analysis saying that how did he perform. You might sometimes do that earned value, plant value, and all that thing. Check what was his SPI, what was his CPI, so that you get to know how is he performing. Then trend analysis: is this vendor's performance consistently improving, consistently reducing? What's there? So those all analysis you need to do it while closing that thing. So. And inspection, as I think it was Shishir who was saying, once the material or services comes, it is project manager's responsibility to inspect whether you have got what you actually have raised the requisition to, and on the basis of that you will approve it. As I told you, it's an external thing, so appropriate audits are required, particularly if it is a cost reimbursable thing where vendor is supplying the invoices of the services what he has done, or if it is T&M and if he is going to supply the bill related to so many hours my people were there, an audit is required. Why is this audit required? Yes, Rahul.
So that's part of control, right?
And why it is so important here?
ताकि वो गलत पैसा ना ले.
हाँ, वो 4 दिन छुट्टी लिया, वो भी टाइम शीट में डाल दिया उसने, तो गया ना पैसा तुम्हारा, करेक्ट?
डालते सर, मैंने पकड़ा था।
हाँ, तो that's where audits are very important thing required there. You need to do it, properly done there. So that's the audit. And then finally close procurement. Once the procurements are done, purchase order is done, close that procurement is another thing there. Some documentation will get updated saying that, who are different vendors, how was their performance, what is, I mean, have they built some new technical capability, if there are technical capability built by the vendor, you should document so that, eventually in the new project managed project, if similar thing is there, that vendor, is also found there. And sometimes change requests, all the control processes will always have a change request there, and all the things will get updated. That takes care of, this whole chapter called as procurement. As I told you, sometimes, found to be little different, because we don't participate in a lot of these processes of procurement there. And that takes us to the last thing, into the thing called as a stakeholder. Relatively simple, small.
Sir, can you give me 1 minute, please?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
You are going somewhere, I mean?
Yes, sir. Just give me 1 minute. I need to open the door. Someone is at the door.
Oh, okay, not a problem. So friends, any questions while before we start with this stakeholder as a thing?
All good?
Yes, and who was this?
Maria?
Maria. Okay, Maria. Yes, Raj.
Yeah. Good. I'm okay.
Okay. I think if we go linear, then by 12 we should be able to finish this without taking the break. Or if we take
Yeah,
break, then it will go up to 12:30, whichever way, I mean, you want.
I think we can continue.
Okay.
Sir, I'm back.
You are back. Okay. Chalo, fir Shishir will go with that particular thing we'll do, and try to close it at
सिर्फ एक मेरा क्वेश्चन था संजय, इसमें
yes,
for
yes.
procurement. I mean, normally, again, with comparing to agile, right?
Hmm.
कितना इसका impact will be there? Because I can't able to imagine properly how procurement will affect on agile process.
In agile process, see, the main outsourcing, will be done only on a timeline, time and material type. If it is outsourced to a vendor,
Hmm.
that will be the impact, Shishir. What does it mean is that in agile, you cannot outsource that assignment or work package on a fixed price mode. Now, you are evolving the scope, correct?
Yeah.
So you might go ahead and give him, that release strategy, your overall release plan with the dates, and tell them saying that, we might need a team size well within between 12 to 15. Okay. And you say that this 12 to 15, I will tell you at the start of every iteration, you are supposed to be giving me so many people. Now, what do these 12 people do during that iteration? Vendor will not have a visibility, because they are self-empowered team, isn't it? So take
Yeah.
them and get it done before the next iterations, and you can say that now this time I will need 14 people. Next time you go ahead and say that this time I think we should be enough with 12 people. That type of contract is there. It's a time and material type of contract is always useful in agile. Neither vendor will agree to for fixed price, nor you will be able to fix the scope, because then it will be a compromise to the whole agile principle, correct?
Yeah.
So that's how it happens. They have used the word called as, you should use something called as a lightweight models for the thing. If you, just because you asked this question, let me open
Yeah.
that thing here. ये जो है ना, ये chapter 4 to 7, मेरे ख्याल से इसमें even word is there. So let me LIGST. हाँ, ये जो है ना, see, this is what he say. Consideration for agile this is in cost chapter actually. In the cost chapter, as you are saying, a lightweight methods of cost calculation. should be used. What is this lightweight methods, शिशिर? That
Hmm.
12 से 15 और जो रहेंगे बस. If
Okay.
you think that I will go ahead and make the WBS, I will go ahead and estimate the cost and then वो सब नहीं चलने वाला है, because you are not freezing the scope at all, and that's why they
Right.
have used this word called as a lightweight.
Hmm.
This is better for agile, and that's what I think you are actually referring as well, correct? Na?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's how it is there. Now
Sir,
coming
how
back
do
to,
these methods help? Lightweight methods, how do they help?
see, basically, lightweight will help because the vendor will also agree to that, है ना? You say that कि you will give me, whatever, a team of, ये ऐसे लिख सकते हो आप कि you will give, I will need 12 to 15 people. Okay. Out of these two, at least, there would be 4 people who would be at the junior developer level. 4 of them will be senior developer level, and 2 of them will be at the, team lead level. ऐसा कुछ तो break देना पड़ेगा तेरे को. And for junior developer, you will charge me, 3,000 per day. This one I will be charging 3,500. Team lead ke liye 4,500. You give these rates, agree to this, and now what happens at the end of every iteration, he will go ahead and say so many people you have used, so multiplied by that, and itna paisa ka billing ho gaya. And then that time you will have to say that next iteration use so much of combination. That is what they are calling it as a lightweight thing. What does it mean is that simple time and material type रखो, that will help in agile. In agile, fixed price जैसा कुछ होने वाला नहीं है, correct?
Correct.
So that's what is this lightweight word was actually. It is in the cost chapter actually. Project stakeholders they are obviously the people group or department organizations. Remember, it's always a combination of people. The server, cluster, network. They are not stakeholders. So human, wherever there is a human coming into the picture, there are stakeholders there. So processes are so many. One is identify stakeholder, part of the initiation, very first one. Then comes planning the stakeholder engagement, based on identification of the stakeholder. And here, when you say identify, it's not only you take their name, designation, phone number, email ID. No, no, no. You need to also, do the interview and understand, say, what would be his critical requirements, what do you think is his position in the organization? Based on that, you'll have to plan the engagement. Remember, when you are identifying, after that, you are going to eventually plan the engagement. So you should collect enough data in identify stakeholder, which will allow you to plan the stakeholder engagement. If you believe that there is a customer who is too finicky about the cost related thing, you need to plan the engagement in such a way that maybe send him the cost report every now and then. If there is a particular stakeholder, when you realize that looks like little perfectionist in terms of the technical deliverable, maybe involve him into the quality related thing. See, basically identify stakeholder is not making a list of stakeholder with name, designation, phone number, email ID. No, that's only one part of it. Very important. How is he going to impact you? And on the basis of that, how do you plan to engage with him? Is what is there. So, that is identified. Once you have identified, you plan, saying that how are you going to engage with them. Very important two processes. Manage stakeholder engagement is doing whatever you have planned. Might have planned that I will meet him every 15 days, meet him. You would have said that I will send him a weekly report, send it to him. You would have probably decided saying that, I will go ahead and ensure that he joins my project steering committee. There was something called as a steering committee of the thing. And if you believe that there is very powerful guy, and that guy could be, a little troublesome, if I were to use that word, and you decided that isko na steering committee pe le lete. Now, that could be a very funny thing. Could that be a strategy to handle a stakeholder?
बिल्कुल हो सकता है सर.
हो सकता है ना.
Definitely,
वो
it's very much required.
वेरी मच रिक्वायर्ड, बहुत यूजफुल होती है स्ट्रैटेजी, करेक्ट फ्रेंड्स?
सर उसमें उसको लंच पे भी लेके जाना पड़ता है कभी.
हो भी सकते हैं ना. वो बच्चे लोग वगैरह होते हैं ना कि क्रिकेट सोसाइटी में जो सबसे ज्यादा झंझट करने वाला अंकल है, उसको चेयरमैन बनाएंगे क्रिकेट. वी आर डूइंग द टूर्नामेंट्स एंड फाइनल के लिए आपको आना ही पड़ेगा जज बन के. सो एटलीस्ट ही विल नॉट क्रिएट अ प्रॉब्लम फॉर देम. That is that steering committee पे ले लो किसी को. That's what could be there. So that's what is. So once you plan it, you need to do it. And once you plan and done it, you need to monitor what you have done is right. You are meeting him every hour. तू lunch पे तो लेके जा रहा है कुलदीप, but वो lunch खा के भी बाद में जाके problem create कर रहा है तेरे लिए. Correct? That's called as monitor stakeholder engagement. Now, if it is there, you'll have to raise CR. Correct?
Correct.
लंच पे काम नहीं हो रहा है, शायद डिनर पे ले जाना पड़ेगा. Jokes apart. But what I am trying to say, you need to take the corrective action based on we are tracking there. So stakeholders are there, and these are the 4 processes there. So let's try to see some concepts. Projects are stakeholders who are impacted or can be impacted in a positive or negative. The people who are going to benefit because of the project are positively impacted. The people who are going to get impacted negatively are also the stakeholder. Remember, those people will not help you, but they will try to do as much possible to derail your project. They will try to delay your project. So you need to handle them. You can't say that because he did so, I failed it. That's not the right thing. Each stakeholder would have varying amount of the influence on the project. Some of them will have very high impact influence, some of them may not be. It's important to identify and prioritize and engage all the stakeholders at different levels. Is that identify all the stakeholders, prioritize them, the top level, and then engage at different levels. You cannot handle all the stakeholder at your own level. You'll have to delegate something to your subordinate. In an exception situation, some of the things you'll have to delegate back to your boss. Does that make sense? Do you sometimes delegate handling some stakeholder to your boss?
Yes.
Maria?
Yes.
होता है ना, कभी कभी करना पड़ता है. It's
Yes.
good to do that. So that's what he's trying to say. If you try to engage at all level yourself, you will have a problem. You'll not get time, and it will not be effective either. Using subordinate is also not a bad idea. Correct, friends? For engaging with the operational level people, you can use your subordinates. That's not a crime. You are not being lazy with that. Correct? Yes. Identification of stakeholders should start in the initiation only. The moment charter is being made, that time itself. Stakeholder satisfaction is the prime objective of the project. Obviously, communication is one of the key by which you can manage their expectation. If there are any conflicts, you need to resolve those conflicts as quickly as possible. Conflicts in its own are not bad. That's what is belief. What PMI says, the way in which you handle the conflict is could be a problem. So they said, in fact, conflicts show the sign of that people are democratic. People are speaking about it. So handling conflicts properly is more important rather than hiding the conflicts or saying that we don't have any conflicts amongst us. That's not nothing to take pride about that. At different time, the stakeholder influence could change with time. In the beginning, stakeholders will have a high impact onto the thing. Down the line, because you have managed their expectations, because you have set their expectations, their influences will start reducing onto the thing. That's what is the theory. And there was a chart, we have seen almost on in the first session, I think. Trends and emerging practices is basically you need to involve all the team member in stakeholder identification. Don't try to do that everything yourself. It's quite possible a junior guy from your team might come back and say that in our let's say if you have some 3 offices into the thing, even at the office which is on the west side, there is a administration department guy, and that guy provides the chairs and everything, infrastructure, laptop. So we need to keep him into the friendship. Remember this, it is good to call him for that kickoff meeting. एक कॉफी और बढ़ जाएगा, but your project might actually get a better thing. So involving all team members in stakeholder identification is always good. Review the stakeholders periodically because new stakeholders might get added sometimes. And benefits and losses or in absence of the thing should be taken jointly between vendor and the customer. Tailoring consideration should be done on diversity of stakeholder. The way in which you will handle different geography people is going to be different. Different gender is going to be different. And that's what you need to do. Complexity of relationship, in some situation there are stretched relationship between the customer and the vendor. So the way in which you handle stakeholders there is going to be little different there. You need to be careful there, and based on available technology. In case of agile, stakeholder engagement is more active, not too long meetings, but short meetings. Not too many management layers, reduce risk of the failure because you are talking continuously. You are getting the feedback continuously. So even if you end up making a mistake once, you get it rectified immediately. You don't wait for the next phase or for the whole project to go into testing and then come to know it's wrong. This will always call for more transparent data and knowledge sharing. Identify stakeholder, the very first process. This process takes care of identifying the stakeholder in the project, analyze what are their interests, what are their involvements, interdependencies. There are reporting between the organization. So for example, in the customer organization, the project manager on their side reports to their delivery head, who in turn reports to their CFO. Those dependencies are there. So there could be, your engagement plan might change accordingly. It will help you to plan appropriate engagement with the stakeholder, escalation and all that. You will come to know only when you know interdependencies well. This could happen before the project charter itself. We are making the project charter itself. You might come across some of the stakeholders as a part of data gathering and all that thing. Then you need to do it periodically. New stakeholders keep on coming into the project. Remember, every time there is a CR, some new process, some new vendor, some new department might come into the picture. It will add for new stakeholders. So identify stakeholder is not one-time process. It would happen multiple times till the closure. It will also occur when there are changes in the program or portfolio. If you are, you are part of a program A and now you are shifted into program B, or you are part of program A only, but program manager is changed, someone else is there. You will have to ensure that, the new stakeholder will have to be identified in the new context there. These are all inputs well known to us. Expert judgment, identify stakeholder. You need, expert judgment. You should be able to sense that who is important, probably to whom I should talk and all that. To identify stakeholder, you need to gather the data, which you can do by questionnaires and surveys. Sometimes, sometimes the brainstorming, which means call all the people and ask them, who are all stakeholder. So everyone comes. I think this department is important. That department, that departmental head, brainstorming. But brainwriting is again a form of brainstorming only. But here the agenda is circulated beforehand. It is sent to the people. Please come prepared with your points. So everyone will come back with their notepad with the points and they do it. So it's a pre-prepared, brainstorming. That's called as brainwriting. A new tool they have come up. I don't know whether it will be used, but just understand it. Then comes analyzing the data. For stakeholder analysis, there is attitude. Attitude is, whether he is supporting, is he leading, is he resisting, is he unaware, resisting, unaware, and neutral. These are the 5 types they have anyway said there. So those type of attitude. Interest in the project, is he highly interested in the project? Is not interested. One of the question there which we solved, on the Kuldeep screen, wo interest tha dekh usme. They were not seem to be interested wala kuch. It could be represented by the interest, legal rights. How many legal rights, he has? What is the ownership level he has? Knowledge, contribution. Basically, you need to understand all that thing, because when you are going to make stakeholder engagement plan, this information will be useful. If you believe that his knowledge level is very high, then while making the stakeholder engagement plan, you might use him to review important decisions related to that. If you believe that his legal rights are very high in the project, you might actually go ahead and make your stakeholder engagement plan, which is more actively involving him. So that's how it is related. Finally, remember, the objective is to make a stakeholder engagement plan. Okay? Documentation analysis. Sometimes, rather than giving the information, customer share their organization structure document itself with you. Say that ye pad lo, and he'll come to know who are all involved here. If he does it that way, friends, you have no other option. वो customer है, he is the boss. वो पढ़ो पूरा, read all that document and make a list of people who do you think are relevant for your thing. That's called as documentation analysis used for identify stakeholder. Remember, we are in identify stakeholder. Then comes data representation. You could do it power interest, power influence, and all that. A grid is shown down the line. So let's see that first, then we'll come to know. See, this is one of the thing. They have said that there are 7 stakeholders. I think 7 or yeah, 8 stakeholders in this A to G. And what they have said, they have put everyone either has a high power or low power, high interest and low interest. So some of them are high power and high interest, BFH. These are the people who are having high power as well as high interest. C and E are high interest but low power. A is a very different guy. He has a very high power but low interest there. And that's all. Now you said, what do we get by just putting them here? The biggest advantage of this approach, friends, is basically they are saying that the way in which you handle. See, these people, B, H, and F, if you forget to send them a report, or if you delay a deliverable, if you don't deliver on time somewhere, these being highly interested and highly powerful people, they will pick up a phone and shout at you, saying that, boss, why delay there? Because they have high interest as well as high power. But look at it, the same event, if it happens with the A, this guy may not even notice that it is delayed. Now what happens? But he is very powerful. This guy can stop your project. Down the line, when payment comes, he might come back and say, why should I pay? You didn't deliver it on time. So in situation, you need to keep him, the way in which you handle these people and the way in which, maybe with A, you not only send him the report, but once in a 15 days, pick up a phone and talk to him. Hey, sir, have you read that report on the 4th page? Remember, I have said about it and all that. वो पढ़ाना पड़ेगा आपको ए को. B, H, and F, you need not have to, because they are high power, high interest. Are you getting the difference? And how is this helping you to make stakeholder engagement plan? Correct? Objective is stakeholder engagement plan. Are you getting this, friends?
Yeah.
Then comes ये नीचे वाला C and E. What will be their behavior, friends? Any guess? How would be their behavior? High interest, low power. Who will be the people in this group? Who will be the people? Yes, Sachin?
Maybe the end customer.
End users, not customer, end users, correct? End users of the system. End users of the system will be always highly interested in knowing where it is going, but they may not have so much of a power about it, correct? Yes, friends, you got this point, what Sachin is saying? Everyone agrees to that?
Yes.
Now, Shishir, what would be, then what's the best way to handle? As they have said, keep informed. What does it mean? If
They
you
will be
don't
part of the circulation for any
think,
updates.
and if you don't do it, then what will happen?
They, I mean, they will not be able to contribute
A और ये देख,
effectively.
A and ये लोग ना ये diagonally opposite है. Shishir, so what would be the change? See, A वाला when your report didn't reach him, he was the one who said कि ये शिशिर ना हर हफ्ते कुछ तो मेल भेजता है, मैं वैसे भी पढ़ता नहीं हूँ, जाने दे. He is just not bothered. Why? Low interest. Correct?
Right.
While these are the guys who are continuously waiting, यार शिशिर का रिपोर्ट तो आता है हर मंडे, आज क्यों नहीं है? That's what would be the thing, typical high interest. But they can't go ahead and catch you, Shishir said कि यार report कब दे रहे हो तुम मेरे को? He can't, because they are low power as well, correct?
Yeah.
Now what will happen? These people will catch hold of your, Kuldeep, who is working with you. They will, catch Kuldeep, say, चल यार कॉफी चाय लेते थोड़ा सा. And then they will ask Kuldeep, यार कुलदीप तेरे को क्या लगता है? ठीक है सब. Last week कुछ बोला ही नहीं यार, वो शिशिर कुछ भेजा नहीं, क्या हो रहा है वो? And that same day you had some fight with Kuldeep. अब क्या होगा? They will get the wrong information, correct? Are you getting? Keep them informed will solve half of your problems. Are you getting this issue?
Yes,
The
yes.
people who are highly interested and don't get the information will do everything to get that information. And if they land a wrong information, वो सब spread हो जाएगा वहां पे. Problem हो जाती है ना फिर बाद में. It could become a wrong perception about your project. Correct, friends? So best thing is keep them informed. You said the solution तो पहले ही बोला था शिशिर कि basically कि सब circulate करो उनको. Send them the report. Don't keep the ambiguity there so that their things are taken care of. Correct, friends? This is one of the
Yeah.
thing. Power interest. This could be power influence. Multiple ways they do the thing there. Then the meetings are required for making identification of the stakeholder. It could be in the form of the workshops or small group discussions, virtual meetings. And output is called a stakeholder. It has obviously the name, designation, location, contact detail, and role. ये तो है, but in addition to that, what could be their major requirement? What could be their expectations? What are the influences? Are they internal or external? What is their impact? Low, high impact, medium impact, influence, power, interest. Are they upward, which means they are your seniors, your juniors, your colleagues? Who are those? So you need to do that. All these, more and more classification will you do. The next step called as stakeholder engagement plan, you will be able to make, which is more foolproof. That's what is the purpose. And change request, very common output. Now comes the planning the stakeholder engagement, which means when you are going to plan it. So this process is to develop the
सर
approaches.
वो प्लान स्टेक होल्डर एंगेजमेंट प्लान कभी प्रोड्यूस वो आउटपुट आई वाज एक्सपेक्टिंग इट टू बी इन द आउटपुट बट आई डिडंट सी इट
ये इसका आउटपुट है प्लान स्टेक. ये यहाँ देख. What we have seen so far was identify stakeholder. कहाँ गया? हाँ, यहाँ पे we did identify stakeholder.
ओके 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 ठीक है
इसमें stakeholder register बनाए सिर्फ. Now taking that stakeholder register, उनका interest, power, all that thing, now you are going to plan the engagement. So इसका output में है वो stakeholder engagement plan is there, correct? It is an output, no doubt about it, but output of plan which is starting right now, correct? Got it, na, Kuldeep?
यस
So good observation. You have now learned how to, read into that book. This process is to develop the approaches to involve the project stakeholder based on their need, expectation, interest, potential impact on the project, identifying the information need for the stakeholder and planning to provide it is very important. Whatever information they need, accordingly, if you provide, I would not say 50%, at least 20% of the problem will get reduced. If they are getting all the required reports and information, maybe they will keep quiet. Very funny example I always, give this is that long back, when Domino Pizza was being ordered through the phone and all that thing, so आता था वो, but then later they came up with a new thing, and that was on their site you come to know कि अभी तुम्हारा ओवन में है, अभी तुम्हारा पैकिंग हो रहा है, अभी ये निकल गया है, वो सब. All that update you get there. Have you seen that? I'm sure you would have seen it. Interim stages of your pizza, correct?
सर कौन सा वाला लाइन पढ़ रहे हो आप कौन सा वाला लाइन के बारे
I'm
में
not reading any line. I'm just telling that when you order a pizza online, on their app and all that thing, you start getting कि अभी ओवन में है, अभी पैक हुआ, अभी निकल गया, अभी ये चौक में पहुंच गया, वो पूरा इंफॉर्मेशन आता है. Have you noticed that?
यस
Why is that?
सर वो एंगेज करके रखते हैं आपको वो इन्फॉर्म करके रखते हैं कि
और अगर आपको उन्होंने नहीं दिया तो क्या करोगे? आप फोन करोगे उसको, उसका काम फुकट में बढ़ जाएगा, करेक्ट? अरे वो कुलदीप सर का हुआ कि नहीं, एंड देन ही हाँ नहीं नहीं वो तो चला गया सर, अब वो सब झंझट ही निकाल दिया उसने तेरे को. व्हाई डिड दैट हैपन? Why did that happen? It is because identifying information need of the stakeholder and planning to provide is important. If this is done, I am saying 50% नहीं 20% तो problem आपके कम हो जाते हैं by that. Correct? That statement I was coming. And that ये Domino Pizza is that example, isn't it? I mean, तो फिर आपका झंझट, I mean, you are very sure कि हाँ चल रहा है यार, कुछ तो भी हो रहा है. That's okay, isn't it? Don't you notice? I mean, did you notice that when you book Ola or Uber, till the time that वो गाड़ी मूव होते नहीं दिखते, हम लोग थोड़े इम्पेशेंट रहते, करेक्ट ना शीशर? वो भले ही 4 किलोमीटर दूर रहे,
या
उसका गाड़ी चालू होए मेरे को अच्छा लगने लगता है। वाई?
ये अब आ रहा
अब आ रहे,
है।
कैंसिल तो नहीं होगा यार। आर यू गेट रीडिंग दिस स्टेटमेंट देयर इन दैट
चलो
आइडेंटिफाइंग
उसमें
इंफॉर्मेशन
विजिबिलिटी हाई
नीड?
रहता है, पता
हाँ,
रहता है कि क्या चल रहा है। विजिबिलिटी
हाँ,
हाई रहता है तो हम लोग एक्सपेक्टेशन अपना मैनेज कर सकते हैं उसमें।
correct. And that's what he's saying. Identifying information fields for stakeholder and planning to provide is important. If that is done, आपका आधा एंजाइटी कम हो जाएगा, आपको परेशान करेगा नहीं कस्टमर। दैट्स व्हाट इज देयर। यू नीड टू अपडेट दिस periodically. Sometimes you need to be more closely interacting with some of the stakeholder. With some of them, you need to reduce your engagement. All those things are always possible. Inputs are well known to us. Sometimes, some of the engagement needs are given into the agreement itself. If they are there, you need to do it. In the PO itself is said that, you should form a steering committee, which will have 3 people from our department. So agreement say you need to do it sometimes. Sometimes EFs are also there. Risk holder, stakeholder risk thresholder, how much risk they are ready to take, and so on. Tools are expert judgment, data gathering, stakeholder engagement. You can do it benchmarking. In your similar project which was there, or maybe with the same account, same customer, if there was there, unka stakeholder engagement plan le lo, and then maybe make the plan on his line. That's called as a benchmarking. You'll have to do the analysis, which could include the root cause analysis, fishbone diagram, apna wala, the assumption and constraint analysis. What are all the assumptions we are saying, and accordingly engage. Making the decisions could be done using the interest and influence. वो दो grids, power interest grid वगैरह जो हमने देखा था, on the basis of that you might have to do it. And data representation में there is a mind map. Mind map is very commonly used in identifying the stakeholder. Little funny example, but when you are making list of invitees for a marriage ceremony, how do we go, friends? Do we use mind map there?
हम्म
How does that work, Shishir? People from Raipur, people from Nagpur, people
यस
from Bangalore. Then in the Bangalore, uncle के साइड के कौन कौन है, आंटी के साइड के कौन कौन है? Double click, double click, double click, double click, and you will find that this is the list. That's mind map, isn't it?
या
Now, same thing could be done in a project. You can say that who are legal people involved into that, who are the technical people, who are the finance people, who are the project manager. In the project management, double click karte chole, you might get a list of it. That's called as a mind map. Mind maps are commonly used there. Now, this stakeholder engagement metrics, I don't know. I think I spoke about it. So let us see that into the next one. This one. तो कुलदीप इस पे बात किया था ना हमने. I will repeat it just
नहीं
quickly.
सर, नहीं किया।
नहीं किया? Okay. See, typically what they are trying to. Yes, Raj?
Yeah, we did go through this. किया है
हाँ,
हमने.
हमने किया है ना. So let us repeat it still, Raj. So basically what they are saying that there were stakeholder 1, 2, and 3, and they have categorized them: unaware, registered, neutral, supporting, and leading. Unaware means these people are just not aware what is happening in the project. Neutral, on the other hand, are the people who know it, but they neither feel great about the project nor feel bad about the project. Resistant are the people who are opposing the project, because they think that this project could be a problem for me. Then there could be supporting stakeholders who are interested in this particular project. And leading are the people, they are your brand ambassadors. If these people will try to sell your project, they will try to, make a good environment within them. And then each of these 1, 2, they have written C and D. C means where is this stakeholder, and D means where he should be. For example, stakeholder 1 is currently unaware, he should be supporting. Stakeholder 2 is currently neutral, but he should be there. This is D and C, which means currently stakeholder 3 is supporting. Now you could do it for all the things. Now you said, what do you get out of it? This type of representations. Remember, friends, what
सर
they
ये
are
डीसी का
trying to.
मतलब क्या हुआ था? डीसी हमने साथ में लिख दिया, अच्छा
BC
वो
साथ में लिखा है, करंटली भी वो
करंटली भी है, ठीक है, ओके।
सपोर्टिव है और हमें चाहिए कि ये सपोर्टिव ही रहे. Now, now remember every movement from C to D is not going to happen just like that, friends. ये ग्राफ दिखाने से कुछ नहीं होने वाला है. Are you getting this? Someone who is neutral to become supportive. You can't send him a mail, isn't it? Mr. So and so, we have noticed you are neutral. Please be supportive. No one is going to worry about it. What you'll have to do? You have to do something, correct, Philip?
Yes.
That is called as ACP, Stakeholder Engagement Plan, correct? Stakeholder Engagement Plan will move these people from neutral to supportive, correct?
Okay.
Yes. Now वो C और D साथ में जो लिखा है, now on first of it, friends, Maria, do you think, which means आपको कुछ नहीं करना है इसमें, correct? Sachin, Raj? Yes, Maria?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
D and C is shown in the same block here, for stakeholder 3. Which means he is currently supportive and you want him to be supportive. Desired is also supportive, correct?
Yeah,
So does it mean that you did not have to do anything?
I'm not sure.
No, not sure. And remember, Maria, itna straight nahi hai. If you don't manage him, that supporting guy could become resisting with time. Are you getting this?
Yeah, that's I
A
was
bad
wondering.
a bad project manager can ये करतूत कर सकते हैं लोग. Don't
Hmm.
even think that ऐसा हो जाएगा. Are you getting this? So,
Yeah,
and sometimes you need to work hard to do that, isn't it?
yeah.
That's what is there. So, see, basically, a chart say you get nothing, Maria and everyone else. But chart will tell you how should your stakeholder engagement plan be there. Stakeholder engagement plan will evolve on. So, for example, ये जो है ना ये unaware to supportive अगर है, तो first action for this could be invite him for the kick-off call. Second action could be send him into the multiple reports there. And as Kuldeep said, lunch pe bulao. You'll have to do something. Then only this movement is going to happen there. That's what is the advantage of this type of thing. Finally, you are going to make a good stakeholder engagement plan there. You'll have to do a lot of meetings there. These are the only two, tools and technique in this process, in this whole chapter. And output is called a stakeholder engagement plan.
वो
It
टेबल
could
को
be
क्या
what?
बोलते हैं? आपने जो पहले वाली स्लाइड में जो टेबल था उसका क्या नाम था? डेटा
इसका नाम
रिसोर्सेज।
है स्टेकहोल्डर एंगेजमेंट असेसमेंट मैट्रिक्स.
ओके ओके, SEA में।
हाँ, ये है ना, इसमें है. पिम्बॉक्स ही है, 13.6 है ये.
हाँ उसका वो पता है सर, उसका
करेक्ट.
कलर वगैरह सब वही है, तो
हाँ हाँ, वो मैंने कॉपी पेस्ट किया लिटरली, स्क्रीनशॉट है ये. सो then meetings are there and stakeholder engagement plan, which is a subsidiary plan of the project management plan. It will include the strategy plan, steps plan to get productive engagement with the respective stakeholder. It could be reviewed, periodically. Basically, during the execution, audit and control, you might realize that engagement with some of the stakeholder need to be increased. Engagement with some of the stakeholders is, we are investing too much time. I don't think they need so much of the thing. So you'll have to change that periodically. Manage stakeholder engagement, doing as per the plan. Plan is doing planning, manage is doing. So process of engage with the stakeholder and communicate as planned. Setting their expectations. If they have raised the issues, go ahead and take it to the conclusion, and you should address them properly. It will ensure that their resistance with time reduces and you start getting more cooperation from them. Their commitment is periodically assessed because of managing them. Managing their expectations, very important aspect. Setting right expectation is half the win. Identify and manage the risk in the stakeholder engagement and capture and clarify and resolve any issues if there are. Absolutely no new tools, inputs, everything is known. For doing this, you absolutely need communication skills. Managing stakeholder engagement is primary tool is communication skills. Conversations, formal as well as informal, issue identification and discussions, meetings, doing the reporting periodically, interpersonal and team skills. Different stakeholder will pull you in different directions, so conflicts are going to be there. managing the conflict. Remember that withdraw, avoid those styles, 5 styles. Cultural awareness, very important aspect when you are managing the stakeholder. Negotiations are commonly required observations and conversations. Not that everything people will come back and write it to you in a mail. Lot of things you will have to observe by their behavior, by their engagement, and then accordingly take it. And political awareness, these are very important. Ground rules is a new thing so far we have not seen. First time we are seeing. Ground rules are basically going ahead and setting up, the expectations. This is how we are going to do in this project. So no one takes, the liberty beyond it. That's what is ground rules. And then comes various meetings, could be for decision making, issue resolution, kickoff meetings, sprint planning, status update, sometimes change request. And the last one, monitor stakeholder engagement, process to take the care of track the engagement with the stakeholder. It will help to tailor the engagement. Basically, are you sending all your reports timely? And whatever reports you are sending, are the people reading it? You are sending him the report so that his issues actually reduce. His cooperation should increase. Is that really happening? You might be sending the report as planned, but it is not serving the purpose. So you might have to change the frequency of the report. Maybe you'll have to change the depth of the report. Maybe you'll have to go ahead and include someone into the CC list. That all is monitor stakeholder engagement. All the inputs. You'll have to do analysis, alternative analysis. Sending detailed report is not working. Can I send him summary report? Will that work? Root cause analysis. Why there are so many change requests coming in the thing? Root cause analysis. It is because no information was given to them. It is because, so there could be multiple reasons. You need to drill down and say that why. So root cause analysis of customer or stakeholder dissatisfaction. Analysis. Making decisions obviously required. This C and D wala same diagram I have not drawn here, but same unaware neutral wala, that diagram. So no new tool. This is same tool. Communication skills are required
ये
for
वही tool था ना SEAM was stakeholder engagement.
Stakeholder engagement assessment metric. So that's what. And now see, it was in planning. Now he is saying in managing you should check it, isn't it? जो C था वो अब D हुआ है कि नहीं? Correct? So
मॉनिटर में चल रहा है.
मॉनिटर में करना पड़ेगा ना, चेक करना पड़ेगा कि हाँ रियली नाउ लुक्स लाइक दिस गाय इज मोर कोऑपरेटिव. That's why the same tool is there. Communication skills, while monitoring the customer thing, you should be able to take feedback periodically, talking to the people, interact with them, and sometimes presentations are absolutely required to put the right views there. These are all commonly required: interpersonal, active listening, cultural awareness, leadership, networking, political awareness, without which you cannot manage the stakeholder engagement and meetings. So in short, that takes care of the last process in this chapter as well as in this whole session. So if you look at the master chart, that was manage and control. These are the things. I think iska naam control nahi hai. In the book, check it. I think its name is monitor stakeholder engagement hai shayad. तो देख लेना. This slide is what I have reproduced, so copy paste nahi hai in that sense. So that takes care of this whole thing. 49 processes, so many things, so many questions there. So that's how it is there. Any question, friends, before we go ahead and formally say it's a closure? Any specific feedback requirement? Also, it's a time for you to speak at this point.
Sanjay, is your website working now?
No. And who is this?
Raj.
Raj. So you will need to download today's recording, correct? Na?
Yeah, okay,
Yes, sir.
I'll do that.
Previous as
But I want to go through these questions.
Which questions?
Mock test that you have
Mock
in
test.
your
उसका भी
website.
link मैं दे देता हूँ आपको.
I mean, not now, but maybe after
हाँ
1 month.
नहीं वो
After
सब
2
जो
weeks.
because वो वेबसाइट it is मैं वो from developer to conceptualize सब मैं ही करता हूँ. So I didn't got time to rectify. वो file delete हो गया.
No, it's okay, it's okay.
So what I
Not
will do, I will share that thing. तो वो WhatsApp
Yeah.
पे to डाल दे. I will give you the
Okay.
link to access that. There are links. Obviously, the data is there.
Yeah, that works.
So
Thanks.
links I will get to you. Mock वाले देना है, and then recording वाला also I will publish once again onto
हाँ
the group.
रिकॉर्डिंग मेरे को भी चाहिए होगी
हाँ
बिकॉज
सबको ही चाहिए
हाँ,
हाँ
I will give you the recording link for a folder. If you click, you will get all 11 days का recording है वहाँ पे.
प्लीज थैंक यू
तो पूरा वो डाउनलोड ऑल बोले एक साथ सब डाउनलोड भी हो जाएगा.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
So that you don't worry. Okay.
Thanks.
Good. Maybe next week कुछ time मिलेगा तो I will make that website. So
Okay.
good. Anyone else? Any question? How was the session overall? Hopefully you enjoyed it.
Yep.
Yes. Good. Shishir. So
सर
plan
वो रिकॉर्डिंग का जो है आप लिंक भेजोगे उसको व्हाट्सएप पे डाल देना एक बार
WhatsApp पे डाल रहा हूँ मैं. हाँ, डालने वाला हूँ. करेक्ट.
ठीक है सर
क्योंकि ये चैट वाला निकल जाता है ना सेशन खत्म होने के बाद.
राइट
नहीं, WhatsApp पे डाल दूंगा मैं वो लिंक. That's not a problem.
So Sanjay, how can we communicate you further? Like, will the chat group will be open in the WhatsApp?
Yes. WhatsApp will be there. I never, I never exit it.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
it will remain forever. So anytime you want to communicate, do it. Best thing is, send one-on-one message if you want to talk to me.
Yes.
And then based on my ability, I will say at this time we'll speak. So ऐसा तो आते रहता है पवन. I mean, because yesterday, for example, I spoke to someone who did it in August 2024 में भी किया था. But ऐसा बात होते रहता है. So that WhatsApp group is there. So my number will be there. Just connect with me anytime.
Sure, Sanjay. Thanks for that.
Good. I think there are not many questions there. Looking into that, let's stop for the day. All the projects should be closed on time. This is only
Those
a
who would
milestone, friends. Yes, Kuldeep.
those who would like to connect with on LinkedIn, please share your LinkedIn profile URL.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that also you can do on the WhatsApp group, friends.
Yes.
So interesting. This batch started with something, but now it is in interesting shape right now. Just be there. I will go ahead and take a virtual attendance for the day because while making the certificates and all that thing, this will be extremely useful for me.
Right.
So I
हम
will.
लोग का भी वीडियो में भी नहीं आया ना अटेंडेंस के लिए.
यस, वीडियो भी नहीं है. वर्ड पैड ऐसा क्यों आ रही है? Give me a minute.
Sanjay, would you mind taking that once again? I have renamed my name.
Oh, okay. And who is?
This is Pawan.
Yeah, and you have sent it on the group.
No, I just renamed.
Achha, you renamed. I want.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so I will take it once again. That's what you are saying.
Yes.
Not a problem. Give me just a minute. It's somehow not opening. It is taking me to ऐप वाला क्यों नहीं आ रहा है? ओके.
सर वो डिलीट तो नहीं कर दिया आपने?
नहीं, वो तो डिलीट नहीं किया मैं. ऑफिस डिलीट कर दूंगा तो खत्म हो जाऊंगा मैं. I would not be able to leave even a minute after that, so that's a problem. Anyway, चलो ये तो खुला ही है यहाँ पे. तो
सर आप पीएमपी के अलावा और कौन सा ट्रेनिंग करते हो वैसे?
माइक्रोसॉफ्ट प्रोजेक्ट एंड एडवांस एक्सेल. ए पवन, सॉरी, मैं फिर से लेता हूँ तेरा. गिव मी अ मिनट पवन.
Prince to be.
प्रिंस 2 में आई डोंट लव टेकिंग इट बिकॉज वो थोड़ा सब्जेक्ट भी अजीब है. सो आई डोंट डू इट वेरी ऑफन. माइक्रोसॉफ्ट प्रोजेक्ट, एक्सेल, पावर बीआई एंड पीएमपी ये अपना चालू रहते. दीज आर.
सर वीकडेज में
मैंने
भी
देखा
करते
था
हैं?
आपके वेबसाइट में.
सर वीकडेज में भी करते हैं क्या ऐसे ये कोई इनमें से ट्रेनिंग?
See, typically it depends on the need. ना नॉर्मली क्या होता है, कोई भी ट्रेनिंग फॉर मी कुलदीप, आई नीड द साइज. 4-5 लोग तो भी कम से कम चाहिए. देन ओनली इट मेक्स इकोनॉमिकल सेंस. इफ दैट हैपेंस वीकडे में भी करने में मेरे को कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है.
नहीं अभी आपका कुछ चल रहा है क्या या
अभी फिलहाल तो नहीं. ओपन बैचेस 21 तारीख से नया पीएमपी चालू हो जाएगा। टिपिकली एक्सेल या पावर बीआई वगैरह जो है ना, और माइक्रोसॉफ्ट प्रोजेक्ट, ये कॉर्पोरेट वाले ही आते हैं। दोज पीपल फॉर एग्जांपल नेक्स्ट 1 month is all I am getting 5 batches of Microsoft project. So वो पूरे टेकेम वाले, आई मीन दे आर स्पॉन्सर्ड बाय टेकेम देयर, तो वो टाइप के आते हैं। पीएमपी वाला ऐसा ये ओपन होता है, वेयर यू पीपल लाइक यू कम हु आर देयर। अब इफ यू बिलीव दैट एनी ऑफ दिस टॉपिक यू वांट टू डू इट, 4 लोगों का मस्त ग्रुप बनाओ, हम लोग कभी भी करेंगे, एनी टाइम।
बराबर। नहीं, वो MS प्रोजेक्ट का मुझे पूछा था स्पेसिफिक ये।
हाँ करेंगे, बट ग्रुप बनना पड़ता है रे, उसमें सिर्फ ग्रुप नहीं मिलता है। तो कॉर्पोरेट्स में हो जाता है, आपकी कंपनी में इज इट पॉसिबल योर कंपनी एचआर विल डिसाइड टू डू अ बैच, तो वी कैन डू इट एट दैट लेवल। आई डोंट नो हाउ ओपन दे आर अबाउट इट। चलो ठीक है, नो प्रॉब्लम, लेट्स कीप इन टच अबाउट इट। सो thanks a lot friends, let's keep in touch and see you very soon.
See you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye for the day friends.
Thanks everyone.
Bye.